and welcome to my live stream. Hello. Today it's kind of an interesting thing happening with NASA and SpaceX and all that garbage. So I decided that I would go live to, well, let me actually show you. I'm just making sure everything's working. Looks like I'm live. Hey, Cleary and Beulah, Allison, Danny Diesel, Diesel, Kelly Lowry, Roderick. Good to see you guys. So I do have something really interesting to show you. Okay, on the screen right now, this is something kind of new. This is some footage probably none of you have seen. Maybe some of you have seen it, but probably almost none of you. And it's I'm going to explain what it is first. And now, I'm not speaking of whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, or whether this is real or fake. I'm just explaining to you what it is reportedly supposed to be before I play it. And then, of course, maybe my volume's a little low. Let me check here. Let's see. How do I do that? Okay. Oh, it looks like maybe a little low, maybe a little good. It's probably fine. Oh, Beulah says sounds good. Thank you. Okay, so what it is you know when you see a rocket standing there ready to launch, and oftentimes the top of the rocket is a little larger in size than the rest of the bottom of the rocket, in diameter, I should say. Well, that's what this is, and let me make sure you guys are, yeah, you're seeing the same screen. I just said, for a moment, I just thought to myself, I hope I'm doing this right. Yeah, okay, good. So what it's supposed to be is all these, you see some, it looks like pressure lines or something, and all this little equipment mounted along the outside of the, or I should say, on the outside of the inside of the rocket, if that makes any sense. And then you can see that white box kind of in the center there. That's whatever satellite, I don't remember which one it is, but that's the satellite. And what happens is when they get up high enough and there's really no more air to drag on anything, they jettison those, or that the larger part of the rocket is just a shell, and they just it breaks in half and it goes off to both sides and then falls away, and they're called fairings. And so this would be the fairings. This camera is mounted inside the pretty much the very cone of the rocket, and that fairing splits in half and then just falls back to Earth. But if you watch the camera view, you can see what it looks like to a lot of people say, you know, no, God, nobody can get through God's firmament and things like this. But I want to show you this video because this is visually what it looks like when they claim to go into God, into the firmament, into space or the darkness or whatever you want to call it. But so I'm going to play this, and probably a few times. It's what the story of this footage is. It's a SpaceX rocket, and Elon Musk tweeted this footage, and I caught it on my Twitter and downloaded it. So let's see if I can get it to play. I hope I can. Oh, okay, yes, it's playing. So that's the second stage right there, taking off, and the fairings falling, right? Look at that. So I'm going to let that play in the background a few times while I talk about the next video that I'm going to show you. Is the same. You probably haven't seen this footage either. Now, inside of each of these footings, they have more than one camera mounted. And this one we're looking, you know, sort of back towards the back side of the rocket, where the engines are. And you see the second stage break off and then take off with its engine. And then you see these things just fall. And they actually have parachutes, and they actually have 2 ships out there. They try to catch these things, and they just were successful catching both of them for the first time after trying many times. But whatever. It seems like, I guess these things, these fairings, cost a lot of money. So we still got 7 minutes until NASA coverage starts. I wanted to start a little earlier. So here is another, let me make sure that I've got the right video here. I actually have to find it. While I find it, why don't I play this right here.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast. Rise up, rise up, rise up.
Well, Dave, the space, and
I decided to change
we
it.
should see that sun hit it. And
Sorry, this is Bakersfield SpaceX launch. This isn't the footage that I wanted to show you, but I wanted to show. While I didn't find the right clip yet of the fairing, it creates, as they fall, the fairing creates like a plasma ball, whatever that means. And let's see here, plasma. Okay, this is the one I was trying to show you. Okay, this is inside the fairing. You can see that it's a camera mounted inside the fairing. It's falling back to Earth. And that's what the air does. That's what the air does. That's plasma or whatever. This is another thing Elon Musk tweeted. So these videos, not a lot of people see these videos. Unless you're following him on Twitter or whatever. Which I'm sure he's got plenty of followers. I don't really follow him at all. I just, when there's a good video, I roll by it and I'm like, what am I watching here? So there's that. Now, I was showing you that Bakersfield for a reason. So it's launching, right? Where's it going, you guys? This is like very important. I'm just pausing it. Actually, I'm going to keep it playing, but where's it going? It's going up in the sky, obviously. But is it going into another realm? Or is it going into space, which we know is basically an impossibility because they say it's a vacuum. And yet we have air on the Earth here pressurized. So there's a problem there, guys. So now I want you to watch the plume here while I read Revelation 7, the first few verses. Just pay attention to what's happening on the screen. After these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. Wow. So the 4 winds is a very important thing in as far as for creation when God made the world. I'm gonna grab my makeshift book of Enoch. Hey, Jesus Freak, Computer Geek, good to see you. And Samuel Pesca. I thought it's live. Why is it dark when it's only 5? No, we're not live right now. I'm just showing some videos, some recorded videos in the background right now. We got 3 minutes until NASA's going live, so sorry if there was any misunderstanding there. So in Enoch, he got to see the treasuries of the winds. And he said that God furnished the whole creation with the winds. So they're going into another realm. back right about, you can see when it happens. You can watch it happen. See the rocket? Okay, watch. It's going up and up and up and up, and something's gonna change. Now there's a stage separation here, but look at that change. Did you see that? You know what that is, right? Oops, I gotta go back. I'm trying to... Okay, think of the sun being far away. Not a curve. I'm saying it on a flat surface, the sun being far away. There's the sunlight. There's ground interference. Anywhere, at any distance, there's something taller than you in between what you and what you're trying to see as soon as they get far enough away. Like if there's a house that's taller than you, just imagine yourself standing, a mile from a house. It's not really going to get in your way very much. But if you were 5 feet from a house, it might get in your way. We'll back up so you're 100 feet. Now is it in your way? Yeah, it's taking up a good amount of your view. And as you back up, it's going to take up less and less view. So the sunlight is always almost always, probably not always, but from up above a certain height, you're always going to be able to see the sun. And then someone will say, well, on the space station, they don't see the sun the whole time. Well, they're being deceived up there. If they got people up there, those people are in the hands of devils. They're actually in the hands of who we struggle against. The powers and principalities and the rulers of the darkness of this world. Hey Terry Shieldwatcher, how you doing? Good to see you. And Elizabeth Borson, good to see you. And I hope I said hi to Kelly Lowry, and I think I said hi to you guys. Yeah, we are waiting for NASA here. I'm going to actually give you guys my desktop so you guys can see what we got. We can do some, I don't know how good my program will work, but I have saved. Let me see if I can do this. Let me get rid of the blasphemy sign. You know what blaspheming God's tabernacle, and I almost said temple, but do you know God's tabernacle is in heaven? And then people always say, no, it's in us. Well, yeah, that's true too, but it's the Holy Spirit that is in us, that lives in us. Oh, here we go. We should have audio. Oh, no, I don't know. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. So do you guys remember that I should read the scriptures, because this story, this thing that's happening today is right out of the scriptures. It's straight out of the scriptures. I better turn this music down a little bit. We'll wait till someone comes on or till something happens. Oh, chat is disabled for this live stream. Why would they do that? So in Revelation 12, this is important, and I've come to understand, or come to learn, or come to think that when John, in Revelation 12, when he saw that woman clothed with the sun, and with the moon under her feet, and he saw it up in heaven, or he saw her up in heaven, or the wonder of a woman, or whatever it was, the sign, the Revelation 12 sign. She being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. But then it said there was another sign. Ooh, I already watched this video. Let's listen to this video. I'll come back to Revelation, guys. This is what is blasphemy against God. If you watch on the screen, it's going to say to the stars or something. Yeah, going to the stars. That's blasphemy.
Discovery clears the tower. Discovery, go and throttle up. Discovery, roger, go for deploy. Everybody in the shuttle program, the crew is go for launch. Roger. Nice to be in orbit.
We have followed in their footsteps to get us where we are today.
Okay, Jesus Computer Freaks or Jesus Freak Computer Geek has me. I want to have you.
Good
I want to do a live
afternoon.
stream and,
It's
and
Saturday,
talk to you.
August 1st here at SpaceX headquarters
David,
in
that'd be
Hawthorne,
fun.
California. And on your screen is a live view of the interior of the Dragon spacecraft as we await its departure from the International Space Station. Now, we expect Dragon to push away from the space station with NASA astronauts Bob Behnken, who's actually in the frame right now, and Doug Hurley on board just after 4:35 p.m. Pacific time to make their way back home to planet Earth. My name is Shiva Bharadwaj, and I'm a space operations engineer here at SpaceX, and I'm really excited to be bringing you live coverage today of Crew Dragon as it completes its very first trip to space with people on board as part of our second demonstration mission for NASA. And joining me today is NASA Public Affairs Officer Leah Cheshire.
Thanks for having me, Shiva. It really is great to be back here for this historic milestone moment in NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Once Dragon departs station, Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley's flight home is expected to last roughly 19 hours. That'll include 4 departure burns that move Dragon away from station, a phasing burn to lower its orbit and line the spacecraft up with its landing location, and 1 final deorbit burn. Their trip home will also include an 8-hour sleep period later tonight, where both crew members will be able to get some rest before their arrival back on Earth tomorrow after a little more than 2 months in space. Dragon is targeted to splash down off the coast of Pensacola, Florida in the Gulf of Mexico tomorrow at 11:48 a.m. Pacific time, followed by the crew getting picked up at sea by one of SpaceX's recovery vessels.
Now, the mission began about 2 months ago on May 30th from historic Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And after a successful separation from the Falcon 9, Bob and Doug enjoyed a 19-hour flight on board Dragon before they came to the International Space Station. Now, since arriving, Bob and Doug have been doing some real work aboard the station. In fact, Bob and Station Commander Chris Cassidy completed several spacewalks, and they've also been taking some really spectacular photos of planet Earth and the Dragon spacecraft as it's been in attached operations. We'll have a chance to share some of those later on in the broadcast.
And I can't believe it, but it's already been 63 days since they arrived in space, so they are just entering the final phase of their mission in just a few hours from now and have been preparing for over the last 2 weeks for their return flight. Today on board the space station is the Expedition 63 crew, led by NASA's Chris Cassidy and joined by Russian cosmonauts Anatoly Ivanishin and Ivan Wagner, and of course, Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley.
Now, while all the crew have been busy aboard, the ground teams have also been performing a number of checkouts in preparation for departure today. These checkouts have been going on over the last several days, and in fact, last week. They've included inspections of the heat shield, checkouts.
All right, guys. I just wanted to. It could get real boring if we just kept listening to them. No. I remember, David. You said you worked at NASA, and I didn't know you worked at Vandenberg. That's cool. I remember you talking about a few different things in the past. I don't remember where I heard where it was. Maybe it was on your channel or maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, I think it would be fun to have a chat if you would want to sometime for a little short live stream or something. I think it would be fun to talk about Genesis 1 verse 2 basically. And the place where NASA is focused on going. Because I think they're just going into the abyss, the deep darkness, the blackness of darkness. And it's, we know from 2 Peter 2 verse 4 and Jude verse 6 and 13, we know that what's in that darkness. And it's under chains, reserved till judgment. That's not a good place to explore. And people say, no, Sheol's beneath the earth. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe. But I do know that it's above the earth. I know that. I think it's also in the heart. I think it's under the ground too somehow. But if you think about it, we can understand how. There's a realm above our earth. There's another, entirely different reality. and it's called heaven, but it itself has a place of darkness at the very bottom of it. And it's where everything evil is cast down. But here's the thing. That realm isn't a place. It's just above the earth. That's the only location that it really has. Isaiah 14 verse 9 says, it gives me the idea that when Jesus returns down through the firmament, that he's going to be met, when he gets to the firmament, he's going to be met with a battle. And what's bound on the earth is bound in heaven, and what's loosed on the earth is loosed in heaven. That's my take on it. There's things happening up there. They're happening down here, and we have our interpretation of what they are down here, or I mean many different ones or whatever. But we can know what's happening up there. Like we see a SpaceX Dragon. By the way, it's a horn. Okay, it's conical shaped. Remember, Daniel saw a beast that had 10 horns. Okay, and Dragon gave it its power. We got it. Like, I'm just gonna share a quick Facebook story. Yesterday, I saw Rob Skiba had put. I'm not even friends with him, but I think I must follow him because I have his posts a lot of the time. And so he had a post about the pre-trib rapture or something, and he was saying that, or part of it that he was saying was that something couldn't happen or couldn't be happening until whatever, because the Antichrist or the son of perdition or man of sin or whatever wasn't revealed yet. And I commented, I said, yeah, he is. I said, he's been revealed, Rob. It's a man. Okay, if we go by the scriptures, what do we expect of this man? Well, we expect him to stand in the temple of God, showing himself that he's God. We should expect him to do things like this. Things that are blasphemous to God. He blasphemes God's name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. He's doing something up in heaven, guys. Remember in Revelation 12, there was war in heaven. Well, this is what I hope that we can start to understand. So these little men on their little space station going up there is part of serving the stars and the host of heaven. They want to go to Mars. Yesterday they sent a rocket to Mars with a Perseverance rover on it or whatever. You know how much it costs? I don't, but I bet you it's way more than either of us would ever comprehend. So, yeah, it's like $400 billion last year or something like that. An industry on the earth, $400 billion. So, we are just doing exactly. You know, I knew this was going to be boring at the beginning, so I got my Bible here. I want to talk about that war in heaven. Because remember, let me put a picture up. Let me find it. It's going to take me a second. There's a picture I made. Actually, it won't take me that long, I don't think. There's a picture I made. And it is... I thought I did that to the NASA screen. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, you probably have a different timing than I do on the... Okay, sorry. Never mind, that would mean absolutely nothing to you. Let's see here. I'm looking in my images here for a specific image. I made this image because I think it's kind of... it's what's happening. Do you guys remember the big hype about Revelation 12, about a woman clothed with the sun and with the moon under her feet? Okay, everybody remembers that. It was September of 2017, right? Okay. Well, you know, even during that time, there was a dragon up in the same place. Now, the woman clothed with the sun, I think that's New Jerusalem. I think it's the New Jerusalem, the Temple of God, Mount Zion, whatever. And it's up in the sky. And then we see these guys on NASA. It's just boring pictures of a room with a bunch of computers in it now. But these guys are sending men up there. And here's the thing. I'm not trying to talk about whether it's fake or real. I don't care. What the world believes is probably more what I care. And they believe that there's men up there. Oh, I'm buffering, or NASA's buffering? I'll get rid of this. Do you guys see that picture, though? There is a dragon up there. Same place. Look at that, it's buffering. I'm going to refresh it. So, in Revelation 12, John sees another wonder in heaven, in the same place, okay? Same place where he saw the woman clothed with the sun. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, let's just do this really quick. Oops, I gotta do SpaceX. Red dragon. In 2017, there was a program called Red Dragon from 2011 to 2017. And look at what it was. Actually, click on the image, see what we get. SpaceX Red Dragon. Come on, guys. Remember when Daniel said he saw up from the first horns, he saw another horn come up? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Davey313, good to see you. And Patriots super majority now. Good to see you, Randy. And I hope I didn't miss anybody else. I just, on YouTube, we should have videos all over the place talking about this. What's up with that? These guys are coming home on a dragon, guys.
So that way they can walk when they get back home. And so they got the opportunity to do that. Bob Behnken transferred some emergency equipment from Dragon into the space station. They keep that emergency equipment in there just in case they ever needed to make a quick, speedy getaway in Dragon or take a safe haven in that space in case something were to happen in the International Space Station.
Yeah, and Leah, you mentioned the idea of safe haven. Actually, a couple of the visiting vehicles, either the Soyuz vehicle and the Dragon vehicle, when they're attached to the space station, can provide the crew with a place to hole up if there were an emergency on the station, or if there was a leak or a fire or depressurization event. And so some of that emergency equipment is stored in the vehicle for quick access in case they needed to get inside very quickly. And the crew actually train pretty rigorously on those emergency scenarios, getting in quickly under all kinds of visibility scenarios and checking that their crewmates are safely aboard in their vehicles as well. We had a chance to do some training with the crew actually here in Hawthorne early for the Crew 1 crew earlier this month. So
okay, I gotta run something by you guys.
Just a quick
I gotta run something by you guys. Okay. So 2 months ago, something came up out of the earth, speaking like a dragon, you could say. Hi, Don Pratt. Came up out of the earth, and it what did it do when it got up there? It connected up to something that was up there called the space station. And if you didn't know, which I hope you know, since 2012, there's been 10 vehicles. Okay, SpaceX built 10 horn-shaped vehicles, 10 only, of the Cargo Dragon. Okay, the one we're watching today is the Crew Dragon. This is a new one, okay? But the first 10 that NASA contracted NASA to build and fly, that were They were called Crew Dragons, and they would bring all the supplies since 2012. They've brought all the supplies and all the batteries and everything that keeps the space station operational. That's what Dragon supplies. So in the Bible, it's the same story, guys. It says, let's see. I'm just going to read a few things that are going to pop out here. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. A beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. The beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. You know what's interesting? This is the first flight, the one we're looking at right now on the screen, is the first flight. Oh, you know what? Oh, yeah. Since about almost 10 years ago, that Russia hasn't been the rocket for astronauts. Somebody's nifty in the chat there, and that's nice, NASA. So the feet of a bear, you know, the only way that astronauts can get there until now, for the last 9 years, has been on a Russian rocket, the Soyuz rocket. But it says his mouth, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power. And it says in verse 4, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. So he's definitely given the beast his power. Saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Who? You guys. Okay, so this beast is also brought up in Revelation 17. And look at what it says. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Outer darkness, guys. Okay, and then it says, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder. And then it says, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. It says something between that. It says, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. But that kind of, the wording there kind of takes the emphasis off of what it's saying a little. It says that they that dwell on the earth shall wonder when they behold it, when they see it. Yeah, scary stuff. So I guess let's listen in for a minute here again.
Mode. So that's really just a low power state where we've only got monitoring on the thermal system, the propellant system, taking a look at some parameters in case we were to see anything that would trigger the Dragon's onboard automation to wake the vehicle up and let ground operators know something needs to be addressed. The onboard life support system is actually only used when we close the hatches and for brief periods when we are configuring the vehicle when we first arrive and periods when we're leaving, like right now. So that duct that they pull out, the intermodule ventilation duct, that actually provides clean, breathable air and circulates the air in the capsules, and providing that air from the International Space Station.
And it looks like hatch closure is soon to be underway.
Houston and Hawthorne from Endeavour.
Still
We're
working to
closing the
take out
forward
some
hatch.
equipment inside Dragon, move it back into the space station.
Okay, but if you're watching, do you guys see my comment? I said Earth is flat and space is darkness. And I wouldn't take this lightly, like this idea that this could be, what did Lucifer say he was going to do in his heart? I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. It's exactly what NASA does, you guys, and SpaceX. Space exploration, that's exactly what it is. It is the blasphemy that Babylon is guilty of, I guess, if you could say it that way. But do you guys see all these people in the chat on the NASA live stream? A lot of these people are like, "Good luck, guys. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck riding the Dragon. Hope it doesn't burn up." You know, this is the most dangerous part of any mission right now. Well, what they're about to do. When they close that hatch and they release the vehicle, that's the most dangerous part of the mission, because they have to, yes, break into the Earth. You can ask them; they'll tell you. It's a not an easy process to go from that darkness into this Earth, because of the speed and the atmosphere will literally burn you up into nothing. You'll disappear into little particles or whatever. You become a streak of light across the sky. Like, physical things and spiritual things are not the same. So that's why you see the man on the screen right now upside down and not falling. Well, they say he's free falling. Free falling into outer darkness. But yeah. Blue screen. Speaking of blue screens. Haha. Hi, Michael Kirkpatrick and Flat Earth Space Agency. Good to see you guys. I haven't been keeping up on the chat, so I hope I have said hi to everyone. Let's listen to these guys again, I guess.
Yeah, so we actually use those tracking and data relay satellites as well on the Dragon vehicle. They provide our telemetry links. There's I believe they're in the GeoBelt. Hopefully that's correct.
Hey, let's count dragons.
They provide communications, uplink and downlink and commanding, actually. A downlink for us to command the vehicle as well if we need to step in on the ground side. Speaking of which, we actually have a view of mission controls in Hawthorne. So that is that's where our mission controllers are in Hawthorne.
Look at all their masks.
Issuing commands to the Dragon spacecraft are all sitting.
That's bad.
In the third row there is the mission director, as well as and here's an internal view of the Dragon
Where's your
spacecraft.
mask, Bob?
We've got Bob in his looks like his comfort garment, which would be what he wears underneath his suit. Nice to see the capsule getting all packed up.
And then another view from the International Space Station side of things. Looks like Anatoly Ivanishin flying out of view, and Chris Cassidy down there in between the hatches in that vestibule area. He is working through procedures to soon be closing the A-Pass hatch on the space station side and prepare for depressurization.
So yeah, guys.
Dragon SpaceX, no response.
Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit.
External on cameras for your suit donning.
I heard Dragon in there.
Copy, SpaceX. Thank you.
Now, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the vestibule, the space between the A-Pass hatch and the forward hatch on Dragon is really just a small volume that is normally exposed to the vacuum of space when we don't have a visiting vehicle like the Dragon spacecraft. And we have to step through some depressurization steps once we have confirmed that all of those hatches are secured, both on the International Space Station side as well as on the Dragon side of the spacecraft.
So we just heard the call that Bob and Doug are go for suit donning. So the Dragon hatch is closed. They've said farewell to their orbiting friends for now until they're all reunited in the ground in the future. And they'll be going through that suit donning shortly. You did mention it looked like Bob Behnken was already in his comfort garment, that first layer of the suit.
Yeah, the comfort garment is it's basically like an athletic garment. Just helps them stay comfortable before they step into the suit. And the suit is largely a one-piece design. So the helmet is integrated into it. The boots are integrated into it.
All right, so 2 months ago, Dragon went up to the sky and connected up to something in the sky. that pretty much looks like a wandering star to me. And there was war in heaven. Let's see what it says. It says, because it says the dragon was Satan. So is this how Satan is going to manifest into our world? He's ascending into heaven, ascending above the heights of the clouds. I can't take this chat anymore. Knock it off. Pop out chat and shut it. Sorry guys, I can't handle it. I'll go full screen. Somebody thinks they're nifty. So, let's read about this little war. Actually, before the war happens, I think something else happens. You know when it launches? When they launch the Dragon, it's a Falcon 9 rocket that launches it. And then that rocket, the booster stage, falls back towards the Earth, right? And what happens then? It steers itself down to land using fire. That's in the Bible. That's in the story. Oh, I was going to tell you guys about... Did I tell you about Rob Skiba? My story about on Facebook? I think I started to. But I'm not friends with Rob on Facebook, but I follow him, I think, and so I see his posts. And he had... sorry if I told this already or started to. I got sidetracked. So he had a post that was talking about pre-trib rapture, and he had said something in the post about the man of sin being revealed or something like that. And I was like, Rob, he has been revealed. He's doing all the things that man's said to do. Like, one of them is making fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And Rob even knows that that he's deceiving men. I'm talking about Elon Musk. He's deceiving the world by making that fire come down from heaven. It's a supernatural miracle. Hey, Joey Rocha. And Flat Earth Frank the Tank, good to see you guys. Good to see you. Oh, is it buffering? So, what did Terry say? E.T. phone home, just like Nixon. That's good. So this war in heaven, it says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought with his angels. And his angels, sorry. Well, remember those 4 angels holding back the 4 winds from hurting the earth? I'm going to guess that those are Michael's angels. And I'm going to guess that when we watch a SpaceX launch and we see that plume, let me show you another video really quick. We won't leave NASA too long, just for a second. Let's see, I got to find the video I'm looking for. Let's look at this really quick. If there's any audio. Okay, I want to show you the war. The angels fighting. That's what this is. I think John saw this, guys. That on the left there, that's the dragon. And on the right there, is that his tail? That could be his tail. Because that's the booster stage. That doing all that weird stuff, that's the Falcon 9 rocket. It's trying to steer itself back to the landing site. So it does a entry burn. It fires its motor, its thrust, its rocket engines. It creates fire to propel it in the right direction. So anyway, yeah, because it says, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. What if that's what if that's what COVID-19 is? Yeah, I'm buffering now. That could be NASA too. I don't know. exactly what they've got going on. Let's listen to what they say for a minute.
Androgynous Peripheral Attachment System. So you can see why we use an acronym, and it's an integral part of the docking system. Before closing it, we saw Chris Cassidy working to attach that docking target to fine-tune any alignment for the approaching spacecraft. So it's not something required for the undocking, but obviously we need it to be there for the next spacecraft that arrives at that port.
Yeah, and Gary had actually given us a...
So anyway, I'm going to finish my Rob Skiba story really quick. So on Facebook, I commented that or whatever, and I said Elon Musk is making fire come down from heaven, and he's doing all these things. He's telling the world that he's going to prepare a place for them on Mars. Like we need another world, you know. Let's go back to, yeah. That's the war in heaven on your screen, guys. So I'm going to go back to the desktop, sorry. See what they got to say.
Is that they're well underway into their suit donning procedures. Suit donning just referring to getting into their suits. And one of the first steps there is checking that the microphones work both in the cabin as well as in their suits. Now, kind of what we were talking about earlier, once we get through suit donning, which will have a couple of steps involved in it, first with these comm checks, and then we'll actually do some pressure checks to make sure that the suits are leak tight. Once we get through that, then we'll actually go through a quick poll, mission control teams.
So then Rob Skiba commented back about, well, he laughed at it, and then he said, LOL, Elon Musk is not the Antichrist. And that was it. But he linked a bunch of his older videos that he had done about that. And I just think it's interesting how something seems to just be so clear to me, but to someone else, they laugh at it. And I'm just saying, do you laugh at this verse? You know, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. I don't laugh at that. There's one man doing that, by the way. And he uses a Falcon 9 rocket to do it. And it makes fire come down from the sky. I can maybe play a video of it. I better not try. If I try, my program will probably quit on me. Yeah, I like what Michael Kilpatrick says. Don't take their pandemonic vaccine. Vaccines are not good. Hello, Angel Mist. Good to see you. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, look at it's raising itself up on one side.
Yeah, very excited.
Daniel saw a beast that did that in the Bible.
Oh, yeah. I think we're ready. I think we're certainly ready.
Joining the SpaceX Demo 2 test. He is a Marine Corps colonel and test pilot. He was selected as an astronaut in 2000. He piloted Space Shuttle Endeavour and Atlantis for STS-135, the final space shuttle mission. Introducing NASA astronaut Doug Hurley.
It's a life-changing process in so many ways to fly into space. It's just overwhelming in some respects. Just the sensations, the rumbling, the shaking, the acceleration. When the engines shut off and you go from, in the case of the shuttle, you go from 3 Gs to 0 Gs instantaneously and things start floating. And I remember distinctly just thinking, what just happened? To see a rocket launch in person is, it's a pretty emotional event. I remember the first time I saw a shuttle launch and it was amazing. And then when I saw a shuttle launch with my wife on it, that is quite the emotional experience. My name is Doug Hurley, and I'm the spacecraft commander for the Demo 2 mission to the International Space Station. We are doing the first crewed flight for NASA and for SpaceX. So this is the test flight to prove end-to-end from launch to docking to ISS operations and then entry, descent, and landing. We'll wake up about 6 hours prior to launch. You'll eat breakfast, you'll do a medical check, you'll start to get your comfort garments on, you'll get a weather brief, and then you'll go get suited up. And it's the same suit up room that astronauts have been using since Apollo.
And there they are, NASA astronauts.
And then we'll walk out, jump in our Teslas, and we'll ride to the pad. We will board the vehicle roughly 3 hours before launch, go through all those pre-flight checks, and then ideally we're off to the races from there at launch.
Ignition, liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
It's about a 9 to 10 minute ride to orbit. We'll go through the on-orbit activities. We'll do some manual flying of the vehicle. We'll obviously sleep on the vehicle. And then we will continue through the rendezvous phase to where we end up in front of the space station the next morning, ready to dock.
Endeavour, this is Houston. Bob and Doug, welcome to the International Space Station.
We'll spend likely a few months on space station. We'll be able to do some on-board training with regard to undocking, entry, descent, and landing. Actually getting to fly the mission with Bob, we've been close friends for almost 20 years, so, the whole experience for me is what we're looking for.
For Doug personally, he's worked so hard, through his entire life to get to where we are right now. It makes me so happy to see that he gets to be part of this mission, the spacecraft commander. I'm just glad to see his hard work and his dreams come true for that. We're so proud of him.
It's been a huge amount of sacrifice and time away from home, but the fruits of our labor are coming to fruition.
Now, with Doug is NASA astronaut Bob Behnken. He's the Joint Operations Commander for Demo 2. He previously flew on 2 shuttle missions, STS-123 and 130, and he also served a tour as the Chief of the Astronaut Office. Why don't we learn a little bit more about him?
When you go through the launch day preparations, there's a lot of moments that kind of stand out to you. One is the kind of the celebratory piece of it, which is that you're walking out of the suit up room and getting in the vehicle that's going to take you to the launch pad. When you close the hatch, that's really when Doug and I are in the vehicle, and it's our vehicle, and we're really in control of the mission at that point.
Test pilots, their task is to prove that man could fly into orbit around the Earth when you are alive and well to talk about it.
There's always a balance of managing risk as you go forward to execute a test point and figuring out a way to collect the data. We hear a sound. Okay, is that sound an expected sound? And we see a light. Is that light an expected light? What's the source of it? Does it sync up with something else that's going on or not? So trying to dissect all of that in real time in your head is, a lot of things happen like that on launching of a vehicle.
From St. Anne, Missouri, he is an Air Force colonel and flight test engineer. He flew aboard Space Shuttle Endeavour twice. Introducing NASA astronaut Bob Behnken.
My career at NASA has kind of spanned a couple of decades at this point. I arrived with the class of 2000, went through the training program, primarily focused on the Space Shuttle and the International Space Station, learning those systems. Having launched a couple times on vehicles, the second time was definitely different than the first time. You can feel a little bit guilty of, hey, should I study one more thing? Or is there one more piece of information I should get? Am I really prepared or not? So that's definitely different between where I was on my first flight and where I'm at right now.
I think for me personally as a spouse, watching everything that Bob has put into this over the last 5 years, the dedication that he's shown, the perseverance is pretty special for both of us, though. The way our minds work, it won't be until sort of the mission is complete that you have really a chance to savor it and celebrate it.
On a deeply personal level, I'm really excited that my son is get a chance to see me launch into space. Being an astronaut has been a little bit of an abstraction thing for him because he's seen me do it in old videos, but he hasn't seen me do it for real. And so I'm excited for him to see me launch into space. Really, my role on the Demo 2 mission is to make sure that we get this vehicle tested and evaluated so that we can move on to more operational missions at the International Space Station.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
We've got a lot of objectives on board the vehicle that we need to accomplish to really make sure that it's good to go. We'll do everything from actually talk from the Dragon vehicle to a Russian Soyuz. We'll dig out all kinds of hardware that's stowed in the nooks and crannies of the vehicle so that we have a good feel for how things are in place and getting them back in place. We plan to do all those things as just a part of our test mission.
Welcome to Bob and Doug. I will tell you, the whole world saw this mission, and we are so proud.
I'm looking forward to that moment when he enjoys the accomplishment, when he realizes we did this, we did a great job, we accomplished what we set out to do. Whenever he lets himself feel that and experience that success, that's what I'm really looking forward to for him. For me, I'm looking forward to when he touches down at Ellington and the NASA plane that brings him home again at the end of it.
I think that the thing I'm most looking forward to is actually ending up in the water safely at the end of the mission. I'm expecting a little bit of vomiting maybe to happen in the end game. So when we get to that opportunity to do that, I'm looking for that kind of celebratory event for both of us in the water at the end of the mission.
What a weirdo. What a weirdo.
So cool. Great view on your screen.
They're ready to go.
That's from a camera behind Bob and Doug. Bob sitting in the right hand as we see him.
Dragon in 2.5, 2 successful checks.
So there's about to be a dragon
SpaceX, we see the same.
cast out into the earth. So I noticed in the chat a lot of people saying, oh, it's fake, it looks like a reality show. I like what Samuel Puska said. I feel sad for the souls of these astronauts and for their families and their kids. And you know what? I feel sorry for anyone that believes any of it. Believes in any of it, I should say. I believe that what I believe a little bit different than a lot of flat earthers in a certain way. I think what you see on the screen right now is just legitimate camera footage taken from a vehicle called Dragon that's attached to a space station that is not a plane and is not a balloon. It's in a realm above the earth. It's in the darkness upon the face of the deep. It's it's in a bad place, but that's a heavenly place. I mean, it's not where God lives, but yeah, nice, Allison, right? Celebratory vomit. That's what I think. Yeah. Randy Keeney's music studio. I gotta disagree with you there. He says not once does the Bible mention space or planets. It mentions it in the first or the second verse of the Bible. Go look it up. Space, darkness, and then planets it mentions in Jude verse 13. Yes, Kelly Lowry is right. The Bible does talk about... Well, you guys, the Bible talks about a dragon flying up in that darkness at the end. Hello, Expose Antarctica. Welcome. So, yeah, we'll listen in for a minute here.
Just trying to take a look here to see what the vestibule is currently pressurized at. Taking a look at the data, it's about 14.1 psi, so pounds per square inch. For reference, at sea level on Earth, we're at about 14.7 psi, and if you're about 1,000 feet above sea level, then you're actually at about 14.1. Just happened to look that up earlier today. Looks like we might have lost the camera feed. Might be another handover.
Probably so. We are waiting for...
No, Randy, in the Hebrew, there's a place, there's a darkness upon the face of the deep, which that word deep is abyss. Okay? So there's darkness upon the face of the abyss. That happens to be above the earth. Yeah, Jude says wandering stars. And the word planeo, where we get our word planet, that word means to lead astray, to cause to wander, to go off course, to deceive. No, the Bible doesn't say they're constellations or anything, Flat Earth Frank the Tank. No, the Bible says they're reserved in a dark prison. Literally, in Jude. The waters above. It says, raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. And Jude got that from Enoch. Jude got that from Enoch chapter 18. Jesus is the Savior. Also, Enoch chapter 18 says that there's a prison for the stars in the host of heaven, and there was 7 wandering stars on the 4th day of creation. At the beginning of their rising, they didn't come out at the right times, and God bound them there until judgment. There's 7 stars that didn't obey God. Jude is the brother of Jesus. He's one of the brothers of Jesus. Samuel, yes, I do mean that. And you know what? I have a different understanding of it. It's not a solid or a glass or any kind of physical or material barrier like some think. It's how fast you're going. You have to be going, well, science calls it orbital velocity. If you're going orbital velocity, you're moving with the firmament. So you stay in the firmament. That's my take on it. A lot of people like to say, no one will ever get through God's dome, right? But that's not what God said at all. In Ezekiel 7, he said he was gonna cause men to defile his sanctuary and to put their abominable things in his in his sanctuary and worship them instead of him and defile it. And also he said in Genesis 11, he said, this is what they see. Randy said it right there. I'm going to read your comment. We can't get past or through the firmament. He called it the vaulted dome. I agree with you, but yeah, the firmament is moving, no curve. Yes. The firmament, we can get past or through it. Because have they imagined it? Yes. And so that's what God's going to send them strong delusions so they believe. So what does it say? Let's see here. I'm looking for Genesis 11. I can quote it almost, but it's the Lord came down at the Tower of Babel, remember? And he said something I think is very important to realize, especially when we're imagining distant worlds, okay? He says, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they all have Google Translate. I'm just kidding. And they all have one language, and this they begin to do. Now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. God said nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Flat Earth Space Agency hit it right on the spot. It says, if fallen angels came to earth from heaven, in Genesis 6 that happened, then maybe there's a way to go up at least to the prison of the fallen angels. That's exactly what they're doing. But NASA, it's the spirit of exploration, right? Well, that happens to be the angel of the bottomless pit, but Apollo. And that's a funny thing, like, how can Rob Skiba laugh at what I said about Elon Musk and then say, and in that he sends me a link to a video saying that Nimrod, I can't remember if Nimrod or Apollo was the Antichrist or would be the Antichrist. And I'm like, yeah, Elon Musk, he built one of the biggest companies in the world to continue the dream of Apollo. That's what he said countless times. That's what SpaceX is for. So yeah, Randy Keeney's. I'm just saying that I think God is sending them strong delusion, and I guess when God says something strong, I'll bet you it's going to be strong. So what are the wandering stars? They're the planets, the ones that they appear to be a little closer, like Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, Venus, Uranus, and there's one more, I think. But they have their own courses. They have like a retrograde motion. They don't do the same movements that all the other stars do. All the other stars circle Polaris, the North Star. And the planets don't care about Polaris. They just do whatever. There's actually a lot of proof of that, Frank, Flat Earth Frank the Tank. Tons of proof of it. You just don't care to look at it. I mean, if you moved, the step one would be moving to Florida. I think it was Terry Shieldwatcher said she watched a couple launches before. If you've ever seen a rocket launch, you know that something, and I've never seen one. I'm just speaking from video that I've seen and then what people say about it. It shakes the heavens. It shakes your chest. It turns all car alarms on within 20 miles, 50 miles, whatever. It's the loudest noise that human beings can make. That's a continuous sound. Hey, Cindy Lou, good to see you. I'm just checking some of the comments here. Humans aren't in the heavens. Well, they're in the heavenly realm. They're not like it. They're not like where God is, or whatever. They're not like that. They're not climbing up that way. They think they are. Frank, welcome. 1 Corinthians 3:16. Don't you yourselves know that you are God's sanctuary and the Spirit of God lives in you? God's sanctuary is within us. Yes, I agree. But do you deny the hundreds of times, the hundreds of verses in the Bible where it says God's temple is in heaven, his throne is in heaven, he sits above the circle of the earth? Okay, you're misusing 1 Corinthians 3:16. The Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit of God, proceeds from God. in heaven and dwells in men. Okay? God lives in heaven. That's the sky. That's where God lives. And he sends his Holy Spirit to dwell in us. Yep, Randy Keeney, I agree with you 100%. In the north. You know what? The North Pole, there is no North Pole, but the North Star is the center of, like, all creation. And that's apparent by looking at the stars. You can just see it, at the way the stars all move around it. And Enoch wrote about that. He said there's a crystal house there girt with fire or something. And he went to his spirit was translated up there. So that's the other thing too, is the spirit world. We can see it from our world. It's above our world, and we can see the lights. We can see it, the different things happening there. But Frank the Tank just can't figure it out, can ya? Yeah, there is proof that men can withstand the thrust of those rockets. It's called like 60 years of doing it. That's a good verse, Allison. 2 Peter 2, verse 4. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, where to be reserved unto judgment. That's what hell is. It's darkness. Their bodies wouldn't rip apart. They have a vehicle around them. Let's see what it says here. Angel says, this is my first time on your live stream. I find it fascinating that the North Star has the same colors as in Revelation as the one sitting on the throne. I know, isn't that cool? I have some footage of Polaris. And I have made a video before that played that verse while we were looking at Polaris. So yeah, if you go on my channel, there's a playlist called, I think it's called Stars and Wandering Stars. And it's just some of my footage that I've taken over the years. Let's see what they're saying here.
Days of food and snacks are there just in case there were to be some weather crop up that wasn't expected, and they can remain in orbit for a couple of days after undocking and be perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's right. The supplies that they have on board are really there in case we had a wave-off scenario. So if we were to have some kind of weather come in or something happen to the spacecraft where ground teams would want more time to troubleshoot and understand and see if they could recover fault tolerance on the vehicle, that would give them time to do a couple more orbits and then...
Okay, I figured it out here. Frank the Tank says, not buying it, Joe. Sorry. NASA and SpaceX are faking everything. So, let's challenge that. Let's think about that from a biblical, from the Bible. What does the Bible say about that? The Bible disagrees with that, Frank. Let me tell you why. We don't struggle against flesh and blood. We struggle against powers and principalities and the rulers of the darkness of this world. Where's the darkness of this world? And who's ruling it? Well, apparently Dragon is, right? On your screen right now, the dragon on your screen. He's the ruler of the darkness of this world. Isn't that crazy, you guys? But yeah, Ephesians 6:12 says that we're struggling against spiritual wickedness in the heavenly realm, not on earth. Okay, there's men that hide the truth in unrighteousness, but this man, the Bible says no man has ascended into heaven. Jesus said that. But he that came down. But they're not ascending into heaven. It's the heavenly realm, I guess, I would consider it the heavenly realm, but it's hell. They're climbing into hell, not into heaven, okay? Oh, Allison put a link there. Let me just open that and see what it is. I can't remember. Oh, the Polaris one, if you grab that, that would be awesome. Yeah, click on that link. I'm still waiting. Oh, no. Yeah, this is my unedited footage of Polaris. Thank you, Allison. That's awesome. You guys should click that link. That's what Polaris looks like up close. Actually, I can do this. Uh-oh. Yeah. Should be able to do this. There it is. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, that's right. We'll just look at that for a second. Yeah, Enoch said that when he was at that house that the angels were going in and out of that house. So, Frank the Tank, did you understand what I was saying about who we struggle against? There isn't men lying about it. If they're working at NASA, they're believing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? They're believing the lie. Just like your teacher taught you the globe, right? Was your teacher lying to you? Or was it that she believed a lie and taught it because she thought it was the truth? You know? So, let's see. Let's click this off. So, yeah, you can click that link. Thank you again, Allison, for finding that. So, let's see what they're saying here. Uh-oh. I'm doing something wrong here because I can't get my volume somehow. Oh, there we are. Oops, I hit pause.
Later for analysis and just to check out how everything went. This first departure for Crew Dragon with a crew.
First time.
Good view from the interior of Dragon. We're looking at the pilot's side seat. So that's Bob Behnken. And you can see Doug Hurley's hands on just behind him.
Hey, Chris, that call came down on Spacey Ground 1, so I'm just going to read back on the big loop that we confirm.
And if you actually look on the right-hand...
I'm going to read you a verse, Frank the Tank. It might shock you, but I don't come on here and say these things out of my own heart. Because you just said a good point there. Inside under the dome is the first heaven, though. How is it hell? Hell is beneath, not above. That's a good point, and I want to show you something that happens when Jesus is coming. This is what Isaiah said in Isaiah 14. Right when he was talking about Lucifer ascending into heaven, he said something that you might like to hear. It might clear something up for you. Okay, think of hell or Sheol or what, all the different names for it. That's a place for what? For like souls of dead people or whatever, right? Or spirits, right? It's not a place where your flesh goes, right? It's a spiritual place. Wherever it is, I'm saying it's a spiritual place. So just think about that. What happens there when Jesus returns, look what it says in Isaiah 14 verse 9. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So, if we look at biblical cosmology, the earth is like surrounded by dark waters, right? So, Sheol being in the heart of the earth or under the earth, somehow, and I don't know this answer. Yeah, I think you're right, Frank the Tank. The holding place for the damned and the saints. I think, yeah, for spirits, it's a where you wait. Your spirit will wait until the resurrection or whatever, till it's judged or whatever. Let's see here. Good point, Frank. Jesus descended into hell, not ascended. I agree. But when Jesus returns, what does it say in, let me find it in Isaiah chapter 5. I can't remember exactly which verse it is. I think it's in Isaiah 5. The hell changes at the end, guys. Where is this? It says something about hell enlarging herself. And I don't remember where. Oh, verse 14. 5 verse 14. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. But clearly Satan is in the firmament in Revelation 12. And he's thrown out of the he's kicked out of the firmament. So let's see here. No 7 heavens till Christ returns. I don't know what you mean. Okay, we'll listen to a little more of this.
Targeted for Pensacola, so off the west coast of Florida, and recovery actually looks a little bit different than it did 45 years ago. So we have some pretty cool recovery boats, have helicopter pads on them, as well as a.
I'm going to make coffee, so we'll listen in for a while, and it's a good time to go get a snack.
We'll go out to the capsule. Verify that it's safe to approach, then that boat will come up, scoop up the Dragon spacecraft, put it on the deck. They'll secure everything and then open up the hatches and help Bob and Doug egress onto the recovery ship.
If you've ever seen any of that old Apollo footage, the astronauts actually used to get out in the water, and so a little bit different this time. The crew will be waiting until that boat arrives with that crane to lift them up onto the deck, and they'll get the chance to get out on the boat instead of on the seas.
Yeah, and actually for recovery, we have 7 potential recovery sites, what we refer to as supported landing sites. So those are areas where a recovery team can get there very quickly, recover the crew within a couple of hours of their splashdown, but usually actually much faster than that. So we've got 4 sites in the Gulf Coast on the west, or in the Gulf on the west coast of Florida, and then 3 sites on the east coast of Florida. One of them, of course, being Cape Canaveral.
So as we were watching this past week, this tropical storm become a hurricane, there was some concern about returning today, because we do have some recovery criteria. Landing in the water is a lot more difficult than landing on land, because you have to consider things like wave height and wind speed. And so we're looking at those spaces in the Gulf, and they're looking pretty good compared to, obviously, the spaces on the east side of Florida. But yes, we have to take into consideration what the helicopters can arrive in, and what all the boats can withstand, and what the vessel, the crew capsule itself, can withstand.
Yeah, that's right. The hurricane Isaias moving up, I think, the east coast of Florida now, so hopefully folks are staying safe out there. I know Doug actually took some photos from the cupola of this hurricane as it's moving up the east coast. But luckily, no major impact to weather on the west coast. Good winds, no significant lightning, no significant rain is projected for the area. And I think importantly as well, the wave heights, which are important for the spacecraft, but also for the recovery ship to be able to get close, and for teams to secure the spacecraft and ensure that it's safe for recovery.
So currently we are in a hold period of the vestibule depressurization. That's the area between the hatches that the astronauts fly through, or float through when they arrive and float through when they depart. So we are holding at 5 pounds per square inch for 25 minutes to make sure that checks out. And this view over their shoulder, it makes it look like we're on the ride with them. They have donned their suits. They are in their seats, monitoring everything on those screens aboard Crew Dragon.
Why don't we actually check in with Gary at Johnson Space Center in Houston, hear how things are going on the space station side, and how do things look at Johnson, Gary?
Hey, Shiva, things are looking great here. We are also watching that vestibule depressurization, of course, complete now, holding at 5 psi. We're just looking at that thermal stabilization, just waiting for it to stabilize, balance out its swings, so we can get a nice solid leak check before continuing down close to vacuum. On the International Space Station side, we did close the APAS hatch, affixing that with a docking target. It's a rod with a little X at the end of it. Chris Cassidy performing those duties and taking some closeout photos, just making sure that everything was okay, checking the configuration, and that'll be reported to teams here on the ground so they understand the configuration for future crews to visit. He then loaded up that pressurized mating adapter. That was that tube that he was on the other side of which was closing the APAS hatch, putting some items in there for storage, and then eventually he did successfully close and lock the Node 2 forward hatch, completing his duties for the day. So he will be, of course, watching Bob and Doug depart the station. He'll be in the cupola module. This is that 7-bay window that looks right down on the Earth, provides a very good view of the Dragon departing from the forward end of the International Space Station. He'll have a camera right in his hand and be able to take some pictures as they depart the International Space Station. But the primary monitoring role will actually be in the hands of Bob and Doug, the Dragon vehicle being an autonomous departure vehicle, Bob and Doug being able to take control if necessary with the monitoring role, and then the backup monitoring role here in Mission Control Houston. So as soon as we continue this depressurization of the vestibule close to vacuum, just about 4:20 p.m. Pacific time, we're looking to conduct a go, no-go. That's, I think, a little bit less than an hour from now at this time that we'll conduct a go, no-go to start the undocking sequence. So the undocking sequence will be detaching the umbilical and then releasing 12 hooks in sets of 6, 2 sets of 6. There's going to be 2 pulses that are going to be fired from the Dragon end. They're called undocking burns, and they'll actually physically separate
burns from the Dragon,
from the
huh?
International Space Station. That's scheduled just a little bit after 4:30 p.m. Pacific time today. So far, everything looking good, holding steady right now, 5 psi, looking to continue that depressurization here soon. With that, everything looking good from the International Space Station Flight Control Room. We'll send it back over to Hawthorne.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that update. If you're just joining us, the Dragon spacecraft is currently forward hatch sealed. Earlier today, Bob and Doug had actually loaded some powered cargo into the vehicle, and the life support system is reactivated. And then after sealing the hatches on both the International Space Station side and stepping into the spacecraft, we did some leak checks on the suits to step into vestibule.
Got some interesting comments in the chat here. Allison hit it right on the center of the nail or whatever. Got it right on when you said descending or below the Earth, or I mean below or downward. I got to go back and read the comment because I'm just botching it. Sorry, Allison. Hell is beneath God, not beneath the earth. It's that's exactly the way I would put it. When God casts them down, he's not on earth casting them down. He's the Most High God casting them down. Okay. No Curve says, is there 7 firmaments? I think there are 7 heavens, yeah. That's what the ascension of Isaiah, he went through 7 heavens, or I think the firmament and 6 heavens, or whatever. I'm drinking coffee. So, and then I saw another good comment here was Terry Shieldwatcher said Elijah in a chariot. Frank Earth or Flat, I always say your name wrong, sorry. Flat Earth Frank the Tank. When you say they, and you're thinking of these evil humans that you're apparently able to just let them trick you, but you're not, right? You were your whole life. You let them fool you your whole life, and these people have been lying to you your whole life, you're saying? And you just finally figured it out? Or is it more that the whole world believes a lie, and you're coming out of that lie now? the demon terms they use, you know, these kinds of things. When people say they, just that word they, oftentimes they don't really think of who they're talking about. Because I'll tell you what, there's nobody at NASA in the head CGI faking Hollywood basement sector making videos to make you think that they're in space. They're just taking videos of what they're doing. And they don't think that it's a deception. They're taking part in it. They think that it's worth $400 billion a year, apparently. You know, it is the future to them because they have a father of lies. So this is why Flat Earth is so important, because it made me realize that. It made me realize that the whole world is just loving going into outer darkness, the place where Jesus cast unclean spirits to. Yeah, that's where they're going. Yeah, that's true, Flat Earth Frank the Tank. Pastors overlook it, and like Apollo. Yeah, hello. Apollo. And Red Dragon. Or Dragon. So these prophets in the Bible, and then the book of Enoch, Enoch went to this place of darkness, this evil, horrible place. He went there, and he said that he saw 7 stars there that were bound and imprisoned there. And the Uriel, the angel that was showing it to him, said that that place had become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire, he's talking about the 7 stars that Enoch saw, and they were the ones that didn't obey God, and so they were bound there in that darkness. And Enoch called them mountains. He said they were stars, but he called them, he said, like great burning mountains of fire. And so a couple times he referred to those stars as being mountains. Yes, Flat Earth Frank the Tank, they're in the firmament. Those stars are in outer darkness that we see every night. Yes. Just plain, just the simple word of darkness, you know, the absence of light. Well, God put lights in the firmament. So it was absence of light when God made it. And then he put the lights in it. Well, Samuel, I think that my honest opinion about that, Samuel says, but the astronauts were caught with wires, getting caught in wires in the studio station. I have to argue with you and say that isn't proof of anything other than your eyes getting eye salve from Jesus. Okay? Your eyes don't see that to be real anymore. And you think that if you go watch all those videos again, there's no wires showing in any of the videos. I guess there's a lot of weird things. And I even have things on my channel. But I've come to know now something much worse than what a few people lying about going to space. This is way worse, you guys. This is the beast system. This is the the world's religion. This is what they believe in. They believe in this instead of God. And so even if they're faking it, I know which video you're talking about, Flat Earth Frank the Tank. There's 4 people in it. The guy does a backflip, and the guy totally pulls on a wire. Like, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what that is. But I do know that you can watch a rocket launch, and you can watch a second stage disappear into the sky. So, Randy Keeney, I got a question for you. What do you think of what is what is the darkness upon the face of the deep in Genesis 1 verse 2? Where is that? Is that in the Hollywood basement? Okay, let's listen in for a little bit here. Drink your coffee.
Vestibule thermal stabilization is complete and the leak check period has started. Additionally, the Dragon to Ground path is now available. If you would like to swap one of your audio destinations to Dragon to Ground, I am happy to support a comm check at this time.
Okay, Bob will do that.
SpaceX Dragon comm checks Dragon to Ground.
I hear you loud and clear. How me?
Did she just say, I hear you loud and clear, homie? That's what I heard. So, there's these two guys, Bob and Doug, and they're in this thing. They're in this dragon up in the sky. And here's another thing, guys. The space station, please stop saying it's an airplane, or it's on a balloon, or that it's a hologram. No, it's a wandering star that's actually in the sky. You gotta look at it. You can see. You can go find out exactly when it's gonna go over your house. And John in Revelation saw that wandering star. He saw that one because, know how I know that? Because he went to a place. Remember I was saying Enoch went to that place and he saw 7 stars and he called them mountains? Well, John went to a place that had 7 mountains, but there was an 8th one there when John went. And the angel told John that that 8th one was the beast. So, men have built the beast, you guys. That is sort of, Frank the Tank says, so they use the star and say it's the ISS. No, they've built the star. It's been up there 20 years now. That's what I'm saying. It's much more real than just faking space. It's much worse than that, you guys. The whole world believes this. Including us, we all believed it. Until a certain spirit came and showed us the truth. Yes. We've been guided into a truth that we didn't know. Actually, we've been guided into a land, guys. We've been taken from among the heathen and placed in our own land. This is all in the Bible. If I wanted to trigger people, I would say it really blunt, and I'd say flat earth is salvation. And they'd be like, what? No, you can't say that. And I'd say, well, I didn't. It was Isaiah that said it originally, and then Luke 3 says it, okay? Not me. Want me to read the verses, guys? Run that one by your family. Flat earth is salvation. See what they say about that. Because I'll tell you where to go. Go to Luke 3 and just read about it in verses 5 and 6. I wouldn't say that because I know that's a trigger thing. People are like, you're a heretic. I'm like, so is Luke then, I guess. So is Isaiah. Sorry, it's taking me a long while to get here. Okay. Before I read this verse, what makes the ground to be a certain shape? Like, I used to think it was a globe, and now I think it's flat. What makes it that way? It would be the terrain, like the shape of the ground. Well, let's read about the shape of the ground here, okay? Every valley shall be filled, and every mountain and hill shall be brought low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough ways shall be made smooth, and all flesh shall see the salvation of God. Salvation is to be revealed in the last time. That's what it says in 1 Peter 1. That the prophets search diligently for it, but it's going to be revealed in the last time. And that we are supposed to hope to the end for the grace that is going to come to us at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So that's what I'm saying is happening. Salvation. So in Revelation, you notice this dragon on the screen here. Well, let's see what it says is going to happen. Okay? So there's war in heaven, and Michael and his angels were fighting against the dragon, and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. So the dragon is going to be not found in heaven anymore. And it says, verse 9, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So, he was in the heavenly realm, but he was in the very bottom of it, in the darkness, okay? Where the abyss is. And so that's what's happening. We're watching it happen right now. And people are like, that's a spaceship or a vehicle, not Satan. And I'm trying to tell you, you're wrong. It's Satan. It's how he's manifested. I'm just looking at, we'll listen in. I'm going to read a couple of the comments here.
Mission in April 1981. So that flag has been to space quite a while, and it's been on station now for about 9 years, which is a pretty long time to be in space.
Yeah, it's probably traveled more miles than any human ever, or any astronaut ever, for sure.
Oh, no, Frank, that was not at the beginning, or whatever. That's at the end. In Revelation, anything that's in the book of Revelation, it says, right at the beginning of the book, it says that it's to show God's servants the things which must shortly come to pass. So it's future things, or maybe they're happening now. The new okay, Frank, you know I probably got to add to your comment, but I'm going to read it first. The New Jerusalem will come down from heaven. It's 1,500 miles high by 1,500 miles wide, or long, or whatever. It's three dimensions that are the same. This will not work on a rotating globe, but remember that New Jerusalem is... Oh, that's a good one. The ISS will also crash into it when it orbits the flat Earth. The New Jerusalem is spiritual. It's celestial. It's heaven. It's like a different... It's not physical, so it's not going to sit down on a globe, because there is no globe. And it's going to sit... Yes, it's going to sit on the flat Earth, but the Earth will be burnt up. Now, here, let me just run something by you. This temple of God is not built with hands, right? Right? So it's not something that you could like take a hammer and nail and build, right? So what's flat Earth? Flat Earth is coming down from heaven, from God. So don't miss it. What I'm saying is it is New Jerusalem. It's not built with hands. It's spiritual. But the sky rolling up like a scroll, that's not going to be only spiritual. That's something that is going to be devastating. It will be a cube. I think it will be flat Earth, Frank, just so you know. But wasn't Satan and his angels cast out and are on the earth now? We're watching them be cast out right now on your screen. All three of them that are, I don't know, if not as angels, I guess. But Satan, he has a couple. Bob and Doug are going to be operating this vehicle. And remember when Jesus, I put that on the thumbnail. He said, I beheld Satan fall like lightning from heaven. That's what we're going to watch right now. It comes in like a bat out of hell. Okay, we'll go back and listen. I keep forgetting. Sorry.
For each one that the vehicle shouldn't cross if they violate any of those. And so some of those for the keep out sphere, that smaller sphere around the space station, we call that 4 orbits safe. So if the Dragon were for some reason lose control of any of its thrusters, it would be safe for 4 orbits if like not hitting the International Space Station if it's inside that keep out sphere. And then the approach ellipsoid has a little bit of a lesser time frame. You need to be 24 hours safe, and that gives time for the teams on the ground to troubleshoot anything that might arise, as we mentioned, if there were some reason they couldn't send commands to the vehicle, or the vehicle couldn't be commanded by the astronauts. So those are typically hold points on the way up for our visiting vehicles, but on the way home, we won't be stopping any. We'll be heading straight for Earth with a splashdown planned for tomorrow.
Okay, I got a comment on Terry. It says it'll be big, no more sea, no more mountains. I agree, but the sea, when John said he saw a new heaven and a new earth, but there was no more sea, that's because he's talking about the darkness. That's called the sea, the great sea, or the dark waters above. That's the sea that was no more. So there's new heavens and new earth, and there's no more sea. There's nothing. There's no darkness upon the face of the deep. Let's see here. And then Frank said, the New Jerusalem will be a physical building where the saints will live forever. You've been listening to Sean Griffin, haven't you? Sorry, but you're wrong. Where was John when he was measuring New Jerusalem? He was in a spiritual place, right? Hey, Daniel, that's interesting. Daniel says, do you think the moon has already turned to blood when men landed on it? Wow, I never thought of that. I guess that could be, but I didn't ever think of it that way. See, Terry says, Show Watcher says, the temple is in men who know Jesus. That's why Satan wants us so badly, and why he comes first, the saints. I can agree with some of that, but let me remind you that the temple of God is in heaven. And I don't know how anybody can pass that up to say that it's in men, because the Holy Spirit dwells in men. This is what we know, okay? But the Holy Spirit proceeds from God, and God's in heaven. It's proceeding from the Father in heaven. Why would the book of Revelation give it dimensions? You are a carpenter, you should know this. It gives it dimensions in the celestial realm. Yes, you're right. We are the temple of the Holy Spirit. But in Revelation, I think it's like 13 times it says the temple of God is in heaven. It even says the temple of God which is in heaven. Like, that's a quote. Actually, the Lord asks us, he says, where's the house that you build unto me? Where's the place of my rest? That's a question. But he said, before that, he said, heaven is his throne and the earth is his footstool. God's temple is New Jerusalem, I think. But yeah, the temple of God is in heaven. It's in Revelation like a lot of times. Let me do something. Let's do a little fun search together. Let's go to Bible Gateway. Oh, look at this. I love this verse. Since it's here, we'll read it. 2 Ezra 7:26. For behold, the time will come when the signs which I have foretold you will come to pass. And the city which now is not seen shall appear. And the land which now is hidden shall be disclosed. Do you guys think that's happened at all? That's what I'm saying. It's happened. The land's been disclosed, guys. It's being openly displayed at, and it's called Flat Earth. Let's go up to the King James Version here. I just wanted to do a word search for heaven or temple. Let's just look in Revelation and see where the temple is in Revelation. Okay, see, this is, let's read Revelation 3, verse 12. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God. So it's going to be, apparently, this physical building you're talking about, Frank, you know, it has people for the cornerstones of it, or I mean the corner pillars of it. I will make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. Okay, let's see here. Revelation 7, verse 15. Therefore are they before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. Okay, this is where he's told to rise and measure the temple of God. Revelation 11, verse 1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city, this is what we're watching right now, you guys. The holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. This is what we're watching on the screen on the NASA feed right here. They're treading it underfoot. Because remember, it comes out of heaven from God. Okay, look. Revelation 11, verse 19. And the temple of God was opened in heaven. So, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. Okay, that's up in the sky. Another angel came out of the temple crying with a loud voice. Okay, that doesn't really say where it is. Oh, here's one. Revelation 14, 17. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven. So, it's an empty argument to say that the temple of God is in men. Because we understand what that means. And it's true. It is in men. But that's not that's where it proceeds from heaven, from God that's in heaven. Okay? You don't just automatically have some temple inside of you that God has chosen to dwell in. It's the Spirit of God, and that proceeds from the Father in heaven. That's what Jesus said. So, here's another one. Revelation 15, verse 5. And after that I looked, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened. So, I just want to make sure that, and I mean, that if we wanted to actually, what word would I, heaven. If we look this up, there's 691 times. Okay, and if we go, let's just go to, like, where? Isaiah or Psalm. Let's go to Psalm. 73 times. Okay, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. Okay, there's one. How many times? If I started counting the verses that say that God's in heaven. Okay, O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, who has set thy glory above the heavens. Okay, there's two. When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars, which thou hast ordained. So that doesn't say where it is. The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. There's three, right? The Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men. There's four. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. There's five. How many times do we have to read? Okay, God's in heaven, guys. He has not left his throne. I'm going to check. Hey, Flat Earth Autopilot. I like the name. Welcome. And welcome, Daniel. I don't think I said welcome to you yet. Did I catch everyone else? I think I did. So yeah, we'll go back to the blasphemy here of Satan being cast out into the earth.
Is sensed by the vehicle, then we'll have the drogue chutes deploy, slow us down even further before finally seeing those 4 main chutes deploy. That'll bring Dragon down to a nice gentle landing in the ocean.
And I learned something really interesting about parachutes. So whenever you see those drogue chutes deploy.
Okay, so I just was looking in my Bible here in Revelation 12, and it says, this is something that we should be able to be excited about, you guys. Check this out. Okay, we saw the woman clothed with the sun in September of 2017. Then we see a dragon deceiving the world, just like is in Revelation 13. We see fire coming down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men and deceiving the world with that miracle. We see that happening because everyone believes it, but not the flat earthers. So why is flat earth so important here? Well, they don't believe in this fake globe world because it's not real, you guys. It's not the truth. There is a world that they've moved to. They're moving there. They're not just believing it. They're like, I live there. They're going there. They're leaving this place. But check out what it says here. This is the beauty of this whole thing. It says, when the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the sea, earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So, what I'm saying, guys, is rejoice, because we know that we're in this day, we're in this time, and it's not fun, and we have to endure certain things. But just remember what it says: now is come salvation and the strength and the kingdom of our God. This flat earth, this truth is the gospel of that kingdom. It's being preached. Jesus said it would be preached, the gospel of the kingdom would be preached unto all nations as a witness, and then the end would come. Let's see. Many flat earthers don't believe God's word. Yeah, well, I guess you can believe flat earth and not, still reject God. You can, even if it's that like if you're a flat earther, what that really means is that God chose you and made you witness to something, and you have to give your testimony about it. And if you read through the book of Isaiah, like the chapter 40 through 50, you can realize that people don't have to do that. God's asking. So he gave people information, or he told them a mystery, or whatever you want to call it. He showed them a secret, and then they have a choice to make. Every single one of them has a choice to make, whether they're going to listen to him or they're going to do their own thing. They're going to follow the Lamb, or are they going to follow their own heart? They're going to preach out of their own heart, or are they going to seek him? You know what I'm saying? And he actually asks, he pleads, God pleads with them to turn from their iniquity and to give their testimony. And God even says that he said, ye are my witnesses. I should go read some of that. It's good stuff. If you're a flat earther, you better read Isaiah chapters 40 through 50. And just sit there and read it a few times. And over probably the course of a week, you'll all of a sudden realize, oh boy, this is kind of heavy. I got something on my shoulders. I got to do something here. And I hope I convict you by it when I say that. Because if you do see it, there are people around you in your family that want to ridicule you, but they need to see it. They need to know it. They need to believe it. No, I don't, Frank. Frank asked me if I go to church to assemble with other believers. No, I don't. Or do you just assemble? I just do what I do. Assemble with who, right? No, I you know what, Frank, the tank, to be honest, nobody wants to fellowship with someone who is saying the stuff I'm saying. And I mean, like, no Christians want to. That's just how it is. If I tell you, oh, you think you're believing that book, but then I point out verses that you're not believing, do you think people, they don't want to hear that? But yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I wish we could too. Let's see. Then Jesus said unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, and let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Yes. That's what I feel like happened to me. I'm just looking at some of the comments. So in Isaiah, listen to this. Listen to this. Okay, let me read this to you. If you see the truth, if you see flat earth, let me read this. This is for you. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. The Lord hath called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadows of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he hid me, and said unto me, Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. So do you see that? He's going to glorify his name. And he uses people to do it. And so he calls these people Israel. But he said, then I said, that was the Lord. He said, Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. So in people, God will be glorified. What are they going to do? And now, I skipped a verse. Then I said, I have labored in vain, I have spent my strength for naught and in vain, yet surely my judgment is with the Lord, and my work with my God. I think that's saying that a lot of this stuff we end up doing, it's like a lot of work and a lot of, hey, Karen Ann Preston, good to see you. A lot of it feels like if you were anybody but who you are, it would feel wrong to do it, but you have to do these certain things or whatever. Like if you, whatever they are, you have to tell people things that you become aware of. And when you do, almost everybody's not ready to hear it. They're like, whoa, And then with time, it changes. With time, people start to understand maybe a little bit more, and you probably get better at presenting it after a while too. So it takes time, and these things can slowly start to be understood differently, some of them. But yeah, what does it say then? It says, And now saith the Lord, that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord, and my God shall be my strength. And he said, It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. So that he's talking about Jesus right there, for sure. And I think he's talking about 144,000 of the people that follow Jesus at the end. He's going to use those people to bring salvation into the world. But it says, I want to find the part where he said he pleads with us, and he was with us through our iniquity and everything. Hey, Brian Wrightsell, good to see you. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. Joshua 1, verse 9, have not I commanded thee, be strong and of good courage, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Thank you, Allison. For sure. Good stuff. Yeah, Flat Earth Frank the Tank, there's a great whole subject that you're bringing up, which is great. A lot of people at the building I went to, like he used to go to a church or whatever you want to call it, I went to, mocked me because of God's true creation. Although they would be loving, but challenge their religious beliefs of man, get the hate. Yes, and that's exactly what Jesus actually foretold that happening. He said that you would be kicked out of the synagogues. Now, you go to a church and you say, Jesus is Lord. Are they going to kick you out? No. What are you going to say that's going to get you kicked out? Well, we found out over the last 5 years, right? If you say, Earth's flat, guys, in the Bible, there's waters above, you're not going to be in that church for more than 1 or 2 more times. They're going to get you out of there. But Jesus also said that the gospel must be published unto all nations. So, as much as people don't think that flat earth is the gospel of the kingdom, I know it is. I'm seeing it, I'm seeing millions of people being saved by this gospel, being repenting because of this gospel. Do you get it? It is good news, and it came down from heaven. And that's news, guys.
There's tubes of water that they can control the temperature of. So when they are in the sun outside of the space station, it can be up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. And when they are in the darkness and outside the space station, it can be negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So that cooling garment is also, in a way, a little bit of a heating garment and can help them control their temperature when they're outside on a spacewalk. So be returning some of those. Also some glove connectors for refurbishment back on Earth, and along with any crew provisions like food, small electronics, and even their sleeping bags. NASA will have cargo specialists embedded with the recovery team. They'll be able to quickly recover and unload that returned cargo very shortly after Dragon returns on the recovery ship to shore tomorrow.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. You're mentioning the wide temperature variations. That's something you don't really see on Earth because we have air and we have humidity in the air that helps us sort of regulate that temperature. Of course, you don't have all that humidity and atmosphere around you to help with that. So when you're in the sun, you're getting the full brunt.
Yeah, Flat Earth Frank the Tank says that the pastor said during a sermon that man say, Earth is a globe. That was my last day there. This was after I told him about True Earth. That actually displays like the such an important thing that's happening. This is a form of like judgment that's happening in the spiritual realm. When you tell the pastor the truth, what did he do? He ran the other way. Rather than getting the truth and running with it, or being like Abraham, not knowing where you're going, but having faith. But he didn't. He went the other way. So now he's a false, because Jesus said in John 15, he said, if I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. And he also said, if I had not come and done works among them that no other man could do, then they had no sin. So, then he said, but now they have no cloak for their sin. So, like, I see this to be true today. Yeah, pastors are in fear from COVID, too. Good point. Yeah, it's amazing that a church would close because of a virus. That should be the last place that closes, ever. But, again, we know that the church is not built with bricks today. We know that. Romans 2, verse 2, but we are sure that the judgment of God is according to truth against them which commit such things. Yeah, that reminded me of Jude. I don't remember which verse, 14 or something. Is that Jude? Or is that in Enoch? Jude quotes Enoch, the first chapter, and he says, "He cometh with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment." I don't want to read it wrong. It says, "And Enoch," this is Jude 14, "and Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him." This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And I'm not saying that to be to boast. I'm saying that this is, although the world doesn't understand it, this is the time to believe the truth is now. That's what I'm saying. It's now. Frank the Tank, yes, he says it's sad because he loves Jesus, allegedly. He does love Jesus. A lot of pastors that I have on my channel, I make videos about sometimes, Pastor Lawson, or Pastor Lawson is one of my favorite pastors. That guy's awesome. And he hates flat earth. But you know what? That's why we have all these years so far. We have all these years of flat earth, because as these years go on, how many people have converted from the lie to the truth? It's got to be in the millions, guys. So there we go. I'm just saying it takes a little time, but these things, like, someone might not ever have considered that space is outer darkness. Like, if they didn't, which I hadn't until recently, space is an exploration place. It's a place to go or something like that. No, it's not. It's a place that's where there's evil spirits reserved under chains. So, let's see. Yes, Terry, that's right. We need to pray for the lost and deceived. And we need to just keep telling the truth. Like, keep speaking truth. And be consistent. I mean, if you find out that you were wrong about something, don't be afraid of that. I'll use myself for an example. I used to think exactly what Flat Earth Frank the Tank was saying, is that NASA and SpaceX are lying. I'm trying to word it better for clarity. They're performing tricks that aren't real to make the world believe that they are real. Okay? That's what I used to believe NASA does. And now I believe I was wrong. I have no problem saying that. It's just because I learn something every day. I learn. If I was wrong about something, I don't care. It means that if I can say that I was wrong about it, it means I've learned a better thing, like a more true thing. I do agree it is outer darkness, but still heavenly realm. Yeah, it's in the heavenly realm. We could call it the celestial realm. It's in the sky, or the spiritual realm. But that doesn't mean it's not like tangible. It's not like physical material like we have here on the earth, like the dark waters above. They're probably nothing like waters that we have in the ocean on the earth, you know? They're spiritual or whatever. Allison, thanks for that. It's a good verse. Romans 10 verse 9. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thy heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. So you mean it's in the second heaven? It's in the same firmament where God placed the sun, moon, and the stars on the fourth day. It's in that place, that firmament. Because in Genesis it just says he placed them in the firmament. So I can't be specific. I don't really know. But you know, here's another thing. Like, some people, when when I mention flat Earth, like to a stranger, a lot of times, and they catch them. You know, it seems like you catch them off guard because they get a confused look on their face for a moment. That's a good look. You want to see that confused look because what it means is that they haven't considered it before. It means they haven't thought. They might have even heard of the flat earthers and been like, what a bunch of morons. But they never thought about the actual topic. Like I was trying to bring up, I was trying to talk to someone about an inconsistency between the size of the umbra shadow between a lunar and a solar eclipse. And it kept coming back to something being about my idea or something about me because I know everything or something. And the thousands of people that have studied this never caught it, and it's you that caught it. And I'm like, dude, forget about me. I was talking about an inconsistency in the heliocentric model. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about me? Do you get it? It has nothing to do with me or us. We're talking about like actual things that we can observe or whatever. John 7:38, he that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. I don't necessarily believe that just because you don't believe in the flat earth that you won't make it to heaven, but I do believe that God will reveal to each individual what they can handle. Well, it's actually much worse than that. I mean, I love that the whatever the sentiment there, whatever, but it's actually unfortunately tragic at the end. In the Bible, what happens is that this dragon that I'm saying it's the one that we're watching right now. This dragon deceives the whole world into believing something other than God. And these are people that love Jesus. So it's tragic and it's awful, but it's going to happen. It is happening. We're watching it. A lot of people don't believe in that God is in heaven, and I'm in my own chat even have to go to all you guys and say and go through verses that say that God's in heaven, because none of you seem to believe it. I mean, I'm not trying to rip on anyone. I'm just saying it is not a normal thing to believe that God's literally in the sky, but that's really where he is. So, and yeah, his spirit dwells in men. Like this is two temples of God, two different ones, right? If we were going to say it that way. And then at the end when New Jerusalem comes down, his tabernacle is with men. So that's going to be interesting. Fun fact for you, science has proven that the earth is literally flatter than a pancake. Yes, it has. Science also proves that water is flat at its surface when at rest, and gravity is a complete theory, and water doesn't take a curved shape on the outside, or on the surface. But yeah, so another good chapter is like Isaiah 45. We were just in 49, that one I read, but I think it's 45. Let me just verify that. That's not the one I was looking for. I guess it's 43. And I read Isaiah 43 a lot, but let's listen back to these goons again, sorry.
During Dragon's departure, that'll be done by the crew on Dragon. They'll be able to monitor with these screens you see here, and they'll be backed up by flight controllers on the ground. But as always, Bob and Doug will have the ability to send commands manually to the vehicle if they need to.
And once the undocking sequence is complete, Dragon will then use its Draco engines. It'll thrust away from the station in a series of pretty carefully choreographed maneuvers or 4 departure burns to increase that distance between the 2 spacecraft. And then from there, it'll perform a phasing burn that will put it on the right trajectory to get back to Earth and the landing site.
Next on its trip home is deorbit, entry and landing, and that covers all operations after the final departure maneuver. That includes trunk separation, closure of the nose cone, deorbit burn, and deployment of the drogue and main parachutes, and finally splashdown off the Florida coast, at which point our teams will recover Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley inside Crew Dragon from the water.
At this point, a little bit ahead of schedule. We always put in a little bit of margin into the schedule in case there were any problems with, for example, the suits or if the leak check didn't quite go as planned. Right now, the planned time to perform the undocking commands to the spacecraft will be around 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll expect to see Dragon go through a number of state transitions as well as transitions of its life support system, and then shortly after we'll see those Dracos come to life very briefly, just to unstick ourselves from the space station and then thrust away from where it's called home for the past 63 days.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, those will be the service section Draco thrusters. Those are what are used when the spacecraft is around the International Space Station. We don't want to use something as powerful as those nose cone thrusters, the forward bulkhead thrusters, I should say, just yet. But that's what we will see being used for the deorbit burn tomorrow.
Yeah, those forward bulkhead thrusters just a little bit more efficient because they can expand the propulsive gases a little bit more. Sort of the principle of providing thrust to a rocket vehicle is you burn some kind of propellant or have some kind of gas that you expend from the vehicle, and that mass that you're ejecting away from your...
Yeah, Frank says a good point. He said, where was that, a little bit up here? He said, where did it go? I must have passed it. Yeah, there it is. We are physical, but yet we are together here with Joe. And that's it. It's so cool, isn't it? How we have these little devices that connect us in a kind of a way that we can communicate, and that's really, I'd say, what the important part of any kind of gathering is. And so yeah, we're gathering together for the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ.
For undocking at the undocking sequence start time of 23:30 GMT. Please confirm your visors are down and that you are ready for undock and departure.
Dragon copies, go for undock on time. Our visors are down and we're ready for departure.
We copy all.
Revelation 12:9. Thanks, Allison.
And we just heard the confirmation. Dragon is a go to undock. So now we are waiting for the undocking sequence to actually begin, and they are targeting that for 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. So it looks like 8 minutes from now. And once that begins, it'll take less than 5 minutes for Dragon to separate from the International Space Station, which has called home for 2 months now.
Now, the first step in the undocking sequence, which is, again, automatic, is for the umbilicals that are providing power, telemetry, and commanding capability between the space station and Dragon for those to retract.
Man, who would have thought you had to schedule Dragon being cast out into the Earth? No, I'm just kidding. I saw Frank, Flat Earth Frank the Tank said, I bet they're so bored waiting to fall from heaven. That's good. Yeah, and I'm not trying to make fun of it, but it is kind of, look, like when you think about what they're doing, all these efforts and all this money and all this stuff, all the people's time and everything goes into just them trying to fly up into the sky, and God's up there totally controlling everything. And the little dark, they're just trying to go and explore the little darkness, and like, it probably makes God, like, laugh in an embarrassed way. That's what I think.
This is a combination of those 12 Draco engines around the base of the capsule, with the first breaking any stiction between Dragon and the docking port, and the second slowly backing the spacecraft away. And so we're expecting the call for undocking sequence to begin in the next few minutes.
And the crew aboard, they will be able to see those transitions. So what will be happening here is the flight computers on the vehicle will issue themselves into a state when that command is issued. And actually on the crew displays, on every display, they've got a prominent location that shows what the current states are. They're also able to follow along and see what the state of the vehicle is. So those are the displays that they've got pulled up on their screen right now. That middle display actually has the cards that describe what they can expect to see, along with some inline telemetry that they're getting from the vehicle directly, as well as their current positioning relative to the International Space Station. And then they've also got some views on the side that are each of them in their respective displays that are showing a forward view of the spacecraft as well as the status of those docking hooks. At this point, the umbilicals both still installed because that command has not been issued. And the vestibule should be pretty close to vacuum.
Getting closer every second to that undocking command being sent. We're looking for that in about 5 minutes from now.
Taking a look at data here, I see the vestibule is reading as 0.1 psi. So definitely not very friendly to humans.
Everything moving smoothly throughout the day to bring us to this point with the crew ingressing Dragon, donning their suits, getting in their seats, closing the hatch, and then Chris Cassidy closing the A-Pass hatch on the station side, along with that Node 2 forward hatch, bringing that space down to as close to a vacuum as possible, and that's where we're at right now. Conducted some leak checks to ensure the seals between those hatches were solid. Everything looking good for an on-time departure today.
Pretty comfy in the cabin right now. You know, that vestibule is pretty near vacuum, but in the cabin it's actually pretty close to what we would see at sea level, and still about 76 degrees in there. So pretty comfortable. Of course, Bob and Doug are only partially seeing that. Earlier they closed down their visors, and so the suits that they're wearing protect them in the event of a depressurization event. They also protect them if there was a fire on board, as they're made of fire-resistant materials. And so as we're getting to this critical step of separating from the space station, if something were to go wrong here, those suits would provide that critical life support to them, pressurizing if the cabin pressure were to unexpectedly drop.
For
it's
about
actually part
2
of the reason why
seconds.
we've spent so long in this vestibule depressurization. The operators, both on the space station side and the mission control Hawthorne side, scrutinizing the data for any indication of a leak through the forward hatch. Of course, that leak check performed earlier with no findings, showing the vehicle is nominal and ready for docking.
And as once we mentioned, that undocking will take a few minutes before we actually see the separation occur. But once the command is sent, those 12 latches will be retracted. The umbilical will be disconnected. Dragon is already on internal power, however. It's not receiving any power from the International Space Station. But once that umbilical is retracted, those hooks are removed. Be looking for those 2 short bursts to send Dragon on its way, and then things will speed up with those departure burns
You
afterwards.
guys see the water ball behind the Earth there that they're orbiting? I was messing with my green screen. Here, let me mess with it a little bit more.
Just a couple of minutes away from that on-time undocking. That'll be 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 11:30 p.m. GMT, or the time that the astronauts use aboard the International Space Station.
That's probably what it would look like if a flat earther went up there. They'd see fire out the windows. No, they won't show the Earth from the Dragon. No, they won't. I mean, I don't think it has any cameras, like, specifically pointed anywhere, except pretty much what at the astronauts, I think. That is a
Looking
good
for
point,
the
though.
undocking command to be sent in just about 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, you can see satellites. I got a video I'm going to play, and actually, why don't we do it
And again,
now?
a quick preview of what we expect to happen.
Maybe we'll wait 2 minutes.
Umbilicals
but I
will
got a video.
retract, and we'll see those docking hooks disconnect, and then we'll actually see those undocking burns, followed pretty shortly after by a departure burn.
They will burn her with fire.
Dragon SpaceX, undock sequence commanded.
Pepper copies.
That undocking sequence right on time.
And that was 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, 11:30 p.m. GMT. The umbilical now retracting. The International Space Station flying 263 statute miles over Namibia in Africa.
Welcome, Vinsanity.
Dragon SpaceX, umbilical demate complete and nominal.
There's confirmation of the umbilicals retracted, so no longer receiving power or data or commanding from the International Space Station. And there's a view on your screen of Dragon, currently in eclipse. Gary, how's it looking from Mission Control at Johnson?
We're looking good, Shiva. We are now inside the undocking sequence. Good umbilical retraction. Standing by for the driving of those hooks. There's 12 hooks that will be released in 2 gangs of 6. Standing by for the driving of the hooks. Here we have good motion on the primary set of hooks. Again, first set of hooks driving the navigation light, the forward end of Dragon clearly visible from this view from one of the Japanese cameras. Again, we are inside of the undocking sequence now. Good umbilical retraction, and we're driving the first set of hooks.
Dragon SpaceX, first set of hooks open and nominal.
Copy nominal hooks in the first set.
The first 6 hooks have completed their driving first set down. The second set is now driving. We're now committed to undock.
As soon as we see it on dock, I got some entertainment. Nominal entertainment coming up. Welcome, Hoosier. Multiplexer and demultiplexer fans. Nominal mathematics.
Seeing good motion on that second set of hooks. continuing to drive.
I'm going to try an experiment.
These will be the
here.
final set of hooks. There's 6 of them holding Dragon into place now.
See if this works.
Afterwards, we'll conduct 2 undocking burns to physically separate Dragon.
Oh, it worked.
It looks so fake, honestly.
You guys like my little clip? I didn't know if that would work. I got audio too.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Here, let me try to see if I can get another one.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Where's another one? Give me another one here. Oh, here's a good one.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
I just make these little clips for, like, the end of a video or something.
Dragon SpaceX, all hooks open and nominal.
Emily, and my question is, how does it feel to know
All
that
hooks
you are
open.
floating in a piece of metal in an endless void?
Separation.
Dragon departing. Emily, and my question is,
Dragon
how does it
SpaceX, separation confirmed.
Separation confirmed.
Separation.
3 burns. Physical separation, 4:35 p.m. Pacific.
4:35 p.m. Dragon
Thrusters
being
looking
cast
good.
out into the
Counting
earth.
down to a nominal departure burn 0 coming up shortly.
They always do this in the dark. Dragon is nominally fooling the Saints. Dragon to Falcon, we're fooling the Saints. Roger. Prevailing against them.
Dragon SpaceX, depart burn 0 complete.
Nominally. C-SPAN.
Complete. Advisors up.
Oh, are they? It could be because I paused it for a minute. Thank you, Davey313. Good.
And you
That's
heard
what- I'm
depart
glad.
burn 0 complete, that 12-second firing, moving Dragon slightly faster away from the International Space Station using those service section Dracos. And with that, Bob and Doug have concluded their stay aboard the International Space Station. They're on their way back to planet Earth. Confirms a physical separation at 4:35 p.m. Pacific as the station and Dragon were flying
Yeah, good one, Brian
267
Red. Why
statute
didn't my
miles
teacher mention
over
that?
Johannesburg, South Africa.
See the
2
star on the
good
left?
undocking burns
Oh, I
and
know
a
what you're
nominal
seeing.
departure
I
burn
can
0.
explain what
Next
you're
departure
saying.
burn coming
All those
up in
dots
about
on the
5
screen
minutes.
are different colors.
We'll be monitoring Crew Dragon throughout the departure
that's because
sequence,
of the
but
camera
with
that they're
Dragon
shooting it
flying
with
free, that'll do
has-
it from us here
that
in Mission Control
has,
Houston. Godspeed, Bob and Doug. To take you through the
damage
rest of the
done
departure
to its-
sequence, we'll send you
well, I
back
don't
over
know
to
what you call
Hawthorne.
it. It's where the image, I think it's like the
Thanks,
focal
Gary.
plane on the
Departure burn
camera
0
where the
sets
image is
Crew
actually
Dragon, Endeavour, and Bob and
taken.
Doug on their journey home. Dragon ship Endeavour is now on a trajectory to head up and
they get-
over the station
apparently
before
they
additional maneuvers will
deteriorate
change
fast
its
up
orbital
there.
path to take it below
And so a lot of the cameras
and in
they have
front
up
of the
there have that,
station.
but not all
Dragon
of
will
them.
autonomously accomplish that
the older
through
they are,
3 additional
the worse it
departure
gets.
burns, with that next one coming up in just a couple of minutes to get Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley well away from the space station.
Beautiful view. Just had a beautiful view there of the relative navigation sensors, providing an infrared view of the International Space Station as Bob and Doug drift away from it.
Got the flames in there
And
again.
of course, as they are drifting away, going into that slightly
What
higher
was that?
orbit,
A
just
rag
because
or
of
something floating
balancing
around in
the
there?
force of gravity along with their centripetal acceleration, they will move a little bit slower than the space station. And so we'll expect space station to sort of
think
drift
that was a
ahead, and then
mistake.
as they conduct those additional burns, getting out of the approach ellipsoid,
See how Dragon's
and the keep out
burning?
sphere,
I
then
just gotta
they
read
will
you a
come back
verse that
down
I see
below
this happening in.
space station, with their apogee being
I
about
clearly
10
see it
kilometers
happening in
below space
Revelation
station,
17.
and slowly reducing their perigee.
And it's all part
Next
of the
up
sky
in just a couple
rolling
of
up like a
minutes,
scroll.
scheduled for
That's gonna have to
4:40
happen soon.
p.m. Pacific time and
'Cause it says-
11:40 p.m.
Oh.
GMT will be depart burn 1. That's a 20-second burn to
Okay, you notice they're talking about all the burns. It's 20-second burn. It's all these burns, okay? For God hath put it in their heart. Well, actually, I'll read the verse before that. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put it into their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. See, the kings are horns. Drives me nuts. The people that don't want to understand the... I don't even like the word eschatology, but the people that use that word eschatology, they like to try to understand the book of Revelation and the beasts and things. If they don't listen to some of these things that some people are pointing out, like where the bottomless pit is at the time when Jesus returns, and where the war in heaven is happening, it's scary. Let's see what these guys are saying.
200-meter sphere around the International Space Station, and the approach ellipsoid,
Yeah, I think,
4 by 4 by 2 kilometer ellipse. If you imagine,
I think we're gonna. I actually don't even remember what it was about, but I know which video I was gonna play. I think it had some footage of some Starlink satellites. Let me see if I can get there somehow. Video. I'll play what I was playing a minute ago. Oh, it's not gonna work. Video.
My name is Emily, and my question is, how does it feel to know that you are floating in a piece of metal in an endless void?
That was the one that I was trying to play, and then I got kind of cut off. I just make a bunch of little clips like that when it's convenient, when I'm working with that program. So if anybody needs one with their name on it, I could make you one. With whatever video, I can do a bunch of stuff. Let me just show you a few of mine, just for fun. There's actually a lot of good ones, and some of them, they don't really mean anything or anything. Like, they're just weird. I might just throw them in a video. Do you know what I mean? I think this one is kind of cool. Like, I'll put it at the end of a video or something. Let's see. So let's look at this really quick. This is footage that I took of the space station. I think this is. Let me see it. Yeah, I'm gonna turn the mic off though. So I shot this footage of the space station. It's slowed down because it's really hard to film. You can clearly see what it is, guys. It's just what NASA says it is. But that's it. That's why it's important to realize that it isn't a group of people at NASA that's lying. That's not where their money's going. It's a group of people at NASA spending their money on a lie, and the whole world is buying it. So that's my take. Let's see here. Brian Wrightsell says, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great and powerful Oz has spoken. Okay, let's look at the video that I was going to show you. Well, we could watch Revelation 13, verse 11, just for a second. And then, just for a second, let's watch this. Oh, no, that's not the right video. Sorry, guys. Wrong video. I thought that was the right video, but we'll watch this for a second.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
I will ascend into heaven. I will ascend into heaven. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Instances, but it's going to see back in time to the very dawn of light in the universe, the very beginning of space and time. We're going to be able to see that, the very first light in the universe. We have models over what that might look like. Bill Nye knows exactly what it looks like.
Oh, sure I do.
But what we know is that our models are not right, and we're going to learn a lot. We're going to be able to see out to the very edge of the universe.
And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night.
Watch this. Yeah, watch this.
What would you say you do here?
Okay, so this next video coming up, this is the one that has some footage of Starlink satellites in it. These are only a year old, these satellites. They put 540 of them up there in the last year. And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their... Sorry, I got a lot of stuff running, so it slows it down a little bit, so I just had to pause it, and I'm going to go back a little bit. The whole order of the stars is going to be concealed from the sinners, you guys. And then we find out about Flat Earth, and we find out about a lot more about what's happening in the sky. And these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their ways, yea, they shall err and take them to be gods, and evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them so as to destroy all.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast...
Sorry, had to do it again. There's a setting I can change, but I had it set for a different set. Yeah, you can adjust certain things, but yeah, this wasn't one of the fortes of this, the way I have it set up. So it should be good now, after I gave it a few seconds.
Said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven.
I think both Jeff and I believe that it's important for the future to be a spacefaring civilization and out there, ultimately be out there among the stars. And I think that's the exciting, inspiring future that I think certainly people in this room want, and anyone.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Here's the one I was looking for.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb.
Liftoff of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, launching Dragon to the International Space Station.
And he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And stage 1 entry burn is underway.
Entry burn.
It's a burn of about 10 seconds.
This is like Dragon's tail. It's the part that lifts Dragon up to the darkness.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Falcon 9 first stage headed back toward Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, where it launched 6 minutes, 37 seconds ago.
Stage 2 performance nominal.
And he doeth great wonders, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Elon Musk has help.
And the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto his servants the things which must shortly be done.
Those precious young people.
Back at Landing Zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station.
L21, the F9 has landed. Landing operators proceed.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
While my program's having problems keeping up. I think that's what that is, because if I keep playing it, it seems like it... Yeah. If I do hardly anything with it, sometimes it seems like it dies. And if you watch this channel, you're well aware of that. So many times it just quits, and I'm like, well, we'll see what setting it starts on, because there's presets, you know. And I don't, when it dies, when it crashes like that, it just starts with whatever preset it finds. So the different presets I've done You know, like if I was going to be sharing scripture, I might have a TV screen and it might be pointed right at me, or it'll just open up in that way. So like today, I have just the only thing I have going is the video, and then I have the little logo on the right hand side on the bottom. And I don't have this as a preset, but anytime I start talking about it, it's plenty of time for the video to buffer and catch up, I think. I'm just kidding. So yeah, Revelation 7. Like all this stuff, you know, like let me go back in the video. So I don't really care if we watch the whole video. I just wanted to show you something though. Right. Okay, not here, but right. Okay. Right here. If it cuts off the beginning, he should be saying, and he doeth great wonders. Okay, he should be saying that. It might cut it off, might not.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And stage 1 entry.
I want to stress with everybody. I just realized this, and I'm not going to get into why I realized it or how I did it or whatever, but this is an important thing. I want to stress to you guys what John said that he saw. This is a man, just like you or me. This is a man that lived a long time ago, and he had an angel come to him and told him to write certain things down in a book. And he said to write down what he saw. This is a vision. The angel showed him these things. And I'm learning that it's probably about as real as how you see them. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how he was shown a vision of these things. Like he was walking among us. You know what I mean? He was seeing things that were going to happen at the end. Or before the end, I should say. And he says it's his testimony. So it's not me saying this. It's not me pointing it out, because I've pointed it out for a long time. I'm just trying to stress how real it is what John said he saw at this part of the vision. And the real thing in our world that is doing exactly that has never been there before. So I'm going to rewind it just a little bit, and we'll watch this part again, but just pay attention to, like, there is no other, like, people say Elon Musk is a clown. Sure, I don't care. I don't care how cool you think he is, or how dumb, or how much of a puppet you think. I don't care. He's doing things, taking actions. Okay? There's nobody else landing a rocket booster after delivering a Dragon into orbit, into the darkness. Nobody's doing that. Okay? So I don't care what you think of Elon Musk. What is he doing?
And causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And stage 1 entry burn is underway. It's a burn of about 10 seconds.
Footage from the ground, by the way. It's not NASA footage only. Like, there, you can watch this in Florida, okay? There.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
Burn's done.
So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Falcon 9 first stage headed back toward Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, where it launched 6 minutes, 37 seconds ago.
Stage 2 performance.
I know my
nominal.
video here is terrible. It's real square.
And he doeth great wonders.
It's a bad copy, but.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Okay, that's enough of that. I want to show you something there. Let's see if I have it. Okay, look at this. This is from the Apocalypse of Abraham. I'll read the verse once it goes on the screen. This is crazy, guys. Since I have destined... Oh, let me turn the music down. Sorry, guys. I didn't know it was going to be that loud. Okay. It says, since I have destined them to be food for the fire of hell, and ceaseless soaring in the air of the underground depths, the contents of a worm's belly. The Apocalypse of Abraham. Chapter 10, or I think it was, that's what it was. In the air of the underworld. Then this is Revelation 17, verse 8. Whoa. How'd that disappear so fast? That was a bad part of my video, huh? Guess you gotta pause it. Who made this video? The beast that thou sawest was, and is not. Oh, that's why. Okay. That's why it disappeared off the screen and you have to pause it, because it is not. And shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. You know, off topic, but you can go watch this outside if you want. It flies over your house like 20 out of 30 days, something like that. Like 20 days out of the month. More than that sometimes. But you can watch it with your eyes. It's a light that flies over in the sky. Just a light, like a star. Like, I was actually going to pull a video up real quick. And I don't know where it's at. The video I'm trying to pull up... Oh, maybe I do know where it is. Yep, I think I do. It's about the beast. Yep, right here. Yeah, this would be the one. Check it out.
This is the only place that humans have outside of planet Earth where humans can live. And if you like, down there on Earth, you can actually see it with your naked eye. You just go to the ISS website and it tells you when to see us. You can look up in the sky and you will see this bright little star moving over the sky.
Enoch chapter 18 verses 13 through 15. I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains. And to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, this place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times. And he was wroth with them, and bound them till the time when their guilt should be consummated, even for 10,000 years.
And here we are, 6 humans on the International Space Station, the embassy of humankind out in space, continuing an 18-year uninterrupted human presence on this fantastic laboratory. You can look up in the sky and
they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. When they behold the beast.
You can look up in the sky and
they behold the beast.
You will see this bright little star.
They behold the beast.
Moving over the sky.
They behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth.
Did you guys catch that? Remember when Enoch went to... It was in this video earlier, but there was a prison for stars in the host of heaven. And he went there in chapter 18. And that's the same wandering stars that Jude is talking about in Jude verse 13. And Frank the Tank said, I'm starting to believe that these things in the sky are spiritual beings transforming. That's exactly what they are. I wonder, is the Transformers our demons to fight? I think it's even simpler than that, but you're right on. They are spiritual. That's what the lights in the sky are. And there's a bunch that obey God, and there's this place of darkness. And I guess it could be said that all the stars are in there, but I don't know. But I know that where the planets are, if you look at the sky a lot, let me see if I can pull up an example. If you look at the sky and pay attention to the way, the directions that the stars are going each day and then throughout the year, you see a clear pattern happening, and you see two kinds of stars, basically, or by their path. And I'm going to try to pull up a video. I'm pretty sure I have it. I just got to find it, of star trails. I just got to go here. I think it's right here. This won't be the best video, but it's one that I took with my, should be right here. Okay, yeah. There's a star in the center there, and that's the North Star, called Polaris. And all the stars do exactly that all the time. That is what they do all the time. So looking at that, knowing that the North Pole or whatever is directly below that star, let's say. So the sky is like a big wheel that's turning. Samuel Pesca says, so planets like Mars are actually prisons? I don't think so. Let me go to Enoch. You know, I should make a video of this. I'm going to make a video of this, like a short video that explains what Enoch, I mean, I'll just have Enoch saying it, but I mean, I'll put imagery to the back, to what he's saying, because I do see something in the sky. So we have this, but then, so this, I'm playing these star trails just because I wanted to explain what I'm seeing in the sky when I pay attention. So all the stars do this, and then each year they do like a full circle, but it's a different circle. But anyway, mainly this is what you get if you do like a time lapse. This is like a 3-hour time lapse or something like that. And I'm playing it over and over again. But what was the comment? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here. And Davey, I see what you were talking about. And I can't really answer that question. I don't really know. But, so let's see here. Where was that? Sorry, guys. Oh, yeah. It was spiritual beings transforming. I was trying to go to Enoch chapter 19. Because it says, and I'm going to actually just go in my little book here. Because this is like solid information. So it's Enoch 18, verse 13 says, I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains. So what I'm trying to give my explanation here. Now we got to go to this other video and find our spot again.
This is the only place.
Saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains. And to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, this place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. Okay, I'm just pausing it there because it's the end of heaven and earth. It's like the very bottom of heaven and the very top of the earth, or whatever you want to call it. It's where heaven and earth meet. And it says that it has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. So there's 7 planets, and he called them mountains burning with fire. The reason why I wanted to say that was this is a mystery being revealed that's very clear. 7 stars, and then this video will explain a little further here He's saying in Revelation, I'm just trying to find it where it has it on the screen. In Revelation 17, maybe I don't have it on the screen, but okay, yeah. Let's listen to it though. Check this out.
Year uninterrupted human presence on this fantastic laboratory. You can look up in the sky and
they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. When they behold the beast,
you can look up in the sky and
they behold the beast.
You will see this bright little star.
They behold the beast.
Moving over the sky.
They behold the beast.
So if I ask you if you paid attention to the sky, because I'm just saying that you can see that thing flying, zipping over, like almost every day. Almost every day. But it has its own path it goes on. So it doesn't go over your house every time. You know what I mean? It's moving along or whatever. But it's this, to me, how many wandering stars are there? If we have 7 planets, they're wandering stars. They don't circle the North Star. They don't do what all the other stars do that we saw on those star trails. The planets do something else. So think about it. There's 7 planets, and then what would this thing be? The eighth one? Or wandering star, I could say. Well, listen.
That was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was,
we're watching that
and
dragon
is not,
come down.
Even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition.
You can see that on many, many nights, and if you see it, think about that humans actually built this.
And they that dwell on the earth.
So yeah, I think we built, as a world or whatever, an international space station. How's that? Like, that's just what I think. That thing is no good. No, they're not prisons of... I was gonna read Enoch 19 and I never got that far. Samuel, you'll understand what I mean. They're not prisons. They're spirits. They're like angels, but in Enoch chapter 19, Uriel they're still standing in this place, and Uriel, I'll just read it. And Uriel said to me, here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand till the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be judged till they are made an end of. A misconception that's very common that I see is that people say, they read the book of Enoch chapter 10, and they say, oh, the watchers, they were buried in the earth for 70 generations. And then there's this idea that goes around that's false, but they don't know it's false, but they say, that these fallen angels that were buried in the earth after the 70 generations were going to be like released or something. And that's not true. It's like the end result is very similar, but it's not true to think they're released. It says in that same chapter 10 that after those 70 generations, they were led off to the abyss of fire, where they would be tormented or whatever till till the day when they could be destroyed, which would be, I'm guessing, Judgment Day or whatever. But so it says they are assuming those forms to defile mankind. So when we look up, this is why it's so important that you don't like assume that planets are places. Just think about that. God didn't make places in the sky to go. He made lights, because that's an entirely different realm above us. Thank you, Flat Earth Frank the Tank. I was actually going to say the same thing. I'm going to get going, guys. But I just wanted to share that this just to, John saw things and he gave us his testimony about it. And it's not something to interpret unless we feel that it's like symbolic or something. But that's what I'm saying, is that if you think that, you're not listening to his testimony. John wasn't doing an allegory or anything like that, symbolic or anything. He was telling us what he saw. And it gets a little more complex than that, I know. But he did say that he saw a dragon flying up in the firmament, waiting to devour, and he saw a war happen up in the firmament. And all I'm saying is that he saw what we're seeing. And I'm just pointing it out. Like, there is a right now there's a dragon being cast out into the earth. They just let it go. And I like what people are saying. It takes forever. Oh, I did a video on Neowise and the dragon just because they look similar. Like, visually, they look like the same thing, kind of. But other than that, I don't really know. I think they just discovered Neowise on March 24th this year. So they don't know what they're talking about. They're like, yeah, we track every item, and every object in space. Yeah, that's or in orbit. No, you don't. They talk about orbit. That's enough. You don't orbit anything. You're just doing circles over the earth, just like all the stars in the firmament is. I'm just looking here to see. I'm just looking here. Well, Samuel, yes, they take different forms. Yes. But they've taken those forms since the day that they were bound there. Like all of creation, they've been there since the fourth day. They were locked up there. And that's not a theory of mine. It sounds like it would be a theory of mine, but Enoch said, or Uriel said, at the beginning of their rising, they didn't come out at the right time. So God made the stars on the sun, moon, and stars on the fourth day and placed them in the firmament. So that means on the fourth day as the beginning of their rising. It's the first time that they have, because they obviously have an ordained duty or whatever, command. And so they broke that. So God was angry with them and bound them in a black prison. A prison of darkness. What's NASA do? They think they climb into heaven, but they climb into hell. They sink into Sheol. What did it was, sorry on the background here. It was, I got a video. That means on the fourth day, that's the wrong one. I was trying to do my program. That was actually the watch page. Let's see here. So, where was that? Sheol. Okay, that was that one. So there's a man that says he wants to go to the stars and set himself there,
When I say, multi-planet species, like that's really what we want to be. It's not like, still being a single planet species but moving planets. It's really being a multi-planet species and having civilization and life as we know it extend beyond Earth to the rest of the solar system and ultimately to other star systems. I think that's the thing. That's the future that's exciting and inspiring, and I think that's what, I think, you need things like that to be glad to wake up. When I say multi-planet species, like that's really what we want to be. It's not like
Sorry, I'm not trying to repeat him. There was another clip of him that I wanted to play. Where was it? Oh, right here. Let's check this out.
when we could resume the dream of Apollo. The goal of SpaceX really was to make as much progress as possible to advance rocket technology to the point where hopefully we can establish a colony on Mars. Dream of Apollo.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
And we could resume the dream of Apollo.
The angel of the bottomless pit.
Apollo.
Alright guys, I'm gonna head out. Thanks for hanging out, and yeah. If you're calling on anyone, call on Jesus. Because he will show you the truth. He'll open your eyes and you'll see a different world. He's knocking at the door. Go answer it.